I woke up in someone else's body, right in the middle of examining a patient, and not just any patient. A tall, ridiculously handsome military officer named Zhou Yanshen was standing in front of me, unbuckling his belt because I'd apparently told him to strip so I could check his injury. When he took off his shirt, I nearly died. 8-pack abs, broad shoulders, a V-line going down too. I got a nosebleed on the spot. He looked at me like I'd lost my mind, since a second ago this body's original owner had been acting all professional, like she'd seen it all before. I quickly covered my nose and told him it was just dry weather. Meanwhile, the memories of this body flooded into my head, and I finally understood what was going on. I'd transmigrated into a novel one my own cousin wrote called something ridiculous like Second Marriage to the Infertile General, 3 rounds, 5 babies, and this gorgeous man in front of me? He was the male lead, and I was about to marry him. Here's the full picture. Zhou Yanshen got injured on a mission. His equipment down below got damaged, and his career took a hit too. So my cousin, the female lead, and her family decided he wasn't worth marrying anymore. But they didn't want to return the bride price and all the gifts they'd squeezed out of his family. Their brilliant solution? Trick me into taking my cousin's place as the substitute bride. In the original story, the previous owner of this body went along with it reluctantly, married Zhou Yanshen, and then everything fell apart. He got framed the very next day, lost everything, and they were all sent to the countryside. The original me cursed him out, called him a jinx, and eventually cheated on him with some educated youth just to get back to the city. She got her divorce and left. But then Zhou Yanshen got cleared of all charges, promoted to battalion commander, then division commander, then all the way up to general. Meanwhile, my cousin, the female lead, swooped in with her magical cheat, a spirit spring space hidden inside a Rubik's Cube that had been sitting among my parents' belongings for 10 years. She healed his condition, and they lived happily ever after with 5 kids. And the original me? She found out her new husband was a domestic abuser who beat her and locked her up. Every time she tried to escape, my cousin would send her right back with a smug smile. I was furious reading through all of this. My cousin literally wrote this book to torment me on purpose. But here's the thing, she actually had one point right. Zhou Yanshen is a catch. Why would anyone throw that away? His condition? I come from a family of traditional Chinese medicine practitioners. My grandfather taught me everything. I can fix him. I just need to get my hands on that spirit spring first. Until then, well, I told him to come back every day for acupuncture treatments. 2 months and he'd be fine. That was a lie, obviously. But it means I get to see him every day. As he left, I smiled and whispered, "Next time we meet, we'll be legally married." Then I straightened up. Time to deal with the family that's trying to force me into this marriage. Oh, I'm marrying Zhou Yanshen all right, but I'm not getting pushed around while doing it. Every advantage the original me left on the table, I'm taking it all back. Right on cue, my uncle's wife came barging in, gushing about what a great opportunity this was. Zhou Yanshen is a military officer. His family has money. He gets a high salary and lives in the army compound. Whoever marries him becomes an official's wife. Sure, auntie. Keep talking. I already know exactly what I'm going to do. My uncle's wife was going on and on about how lucky I was, spitting everywhere while she talked. My uncle sat there smoking his pipe, looking at me with this smug smile. Since your parents died, we fed you, raised you, even got you that nice job at the clinic. We did all of this, so you'd have a good future. Marrying Zhou Yanshen is the perfect arrangement. It's what your parents would have wanted. I couldn't help but laugh. Oh, really? When Zhou Yanshen was healthy and his career was booming, you wanted my cousin Lingshan to marry him. Now that he's crippled and can't have children, suddenly it's my turn? That's your idea of honoring my parents. I reminded them that they raised me on my parents' death benefits, not their own money. My clinic job was assigned to me by the organization as my father's successor. They didn't get it for me. And they'd been taking my salary every month anyway. Thinking about all this made my heart ache. In real life, my family was happy and whole. It was actually my cousin who lost her parents young. But in this novel she wrote, she flipped everything, made me the orphan and herself the lucky one. She did it on purpose. My cousin brother Yazoo started yelling at me, saying marrying Zhou Yanshen was a glorious duty to care for a revolutionary hero. He even suggested they could just give me one of his future kids, so I'd get the title of military wife for free. Then let your wife marry him, I said coldly. Give her this glorious duty. Yao Zhu stormed toward me with his finger in my face. So I slapped him. Hard. My younger cousin brother Yao Guang couldn't believe it. How dare you hit him? He's trying to help you. I slapped him too. I'm hitting you for your own good. What are you complaining about? The whole family stared at me in shock. The old version of me never fought back, never said a word. They thought I'd lost my mind. I pressed harder. If I refuse to marry him, you'll have to cancel the engagement, return all the bride price money, give back the gifts, and return the petroleum factory job they got for Yao Zhu, right? That shut Yao Zhu up fast. His hand froze in midair. He didn't dare hit me back. I turned to my cousin Lingshan, sitting quietly in the corner. If this marriage is so wonderful, why isn't she the one doing it? Lingshan's eyes flickered. I could tell. She'd already transmigrated into her own novel and received her memories. She knew exactly what was going on. In her story, she was the female lead. Her plan was to pretend to marry some older official, report her terrible family to the authorities, collect a fortune in antiques and gold, then wait for Zhou Yanshen to get promoted and come back to the city. After that, she'd get into Peking University, buy a bunch of courtyard houses in Beijing, cure Zhou Yanshen, and live happily ever after. The family explained that Lingshan was marrying Bureau Director Hao Jiangwo instead. They were practically drooling over the benefits. He controlled all the food supplies in the city. Sugar, cooking oil, pork fat, whatever they wanted. Plus, they could get Yao Guang a cushy driver job at the Transportation Bureau. Sure, Hao was over 40 with 2 kids, but he was pleasantly plump and would treat a wife well. What a family. My uncle cut everyone off. Enough. Wanqing, either you marry Zhou Yanshen, or Director Hao will make sure you lose your clinic job. Without work, you'll be sent to the countryside. Your choice, be an officer's wife or go dig dirt. I pretended to think it over, then gave in, but on my terms.
Fine.
2 conditions. First, give me back all my wages you've been stealing for the past 2 years. Second, return my grain booklet so I can collect my own rations from now on. For 2 years, my uncle's wife had been marching to the clinic's finance office with my payslip and pocketing every cent. Even my grain rations were under her control. My salary after becoming a full employee was 38 yuan a month. That's 912 yuan total they owed me. Yao Guang exploded first. No way. Mom promised to buy me a Seagull camera. If we give her the money, how am I supposed to get my camera? Then my uncle's wife started screaming, jabbing her finger at my nose. You ungrateful wolf. You eat our food, wear our clothes, your salary should go to this family. We must have been blind to raise such a heartless creature, but my uncle agreed. He did the math in his head. Zhou Yanshen's family had given them gold bracelets, gold bars, a watch, 1,000 yuan in bride price, plus Yao Zhu's petroleum factory job. That was worth way more than my 2 years of wages. And once Lingshan married Director Hao, they'd get even more. No point making trouble over a few hundred yuan. I want it now, I said, staring at my uncle's wife whose face had gone completely dark. My uncle told her to go get the money. Then he told me to change into something decent and go finalize things with the Zhou family right away. Lingshan looked a bit confused. In her original story, the old me never demanded this much money. She probably didn't expect me to walk away with nearly 1,000 yuan. I agreed and headed to my room, which was really just a storage closet. But I didn't care about changing clothes right now. I had something more important to do. I needed to find my parents' belongings before anyone else did. Somewhere in that room was the Rubik's Cube, the golden cheat item, the spirit spring space. The thing my cousin wrote into her novel as the female lead's ultimate power-up, hidden among my parents' old stuff for 10 years. It was mine now. Wanjie. Lingshan suddenly called out behind me. That name, only my real-world cousin ever called me that. In the novel, we hated each other. She wouldn't use that nickname unless she was the real Lingshan who'd transmigrated into. I didn't react. I slammed the door shut without looking back. She must have noticed I demanded more money than the original plot allowed, and now she was suspicious that I wasn't the book character anymore. But I couldn't let her confirm it. She knocked on the door. I opened it. I just called you. Why didn't you answer?
Did you
Transmigrate into this too? She stared hard into my eyes. I put on an annoyed face. What are you talking about? What did you call me? Transmigrate into what? She let out a slow breath. Nothing. I just remembered I left something in this room. Her eyes went straight to the basket of dusty old things in the corner, my parents' belongings. Her heart was clearly racing. That's where the Rubik's Cube was. I'm changing clothes. Get out. I pushed her toward the door. Everything in here is mine, or my parents'. What could possibly be yours? She tried another approach. That little thing in the basket, name your price, I'll buy it. Are you insane? You want to buy my dead parents' belongings? Would you sell your own parents' things if they died? I shoved her out and slammed the door. Through the door, I could practically feel her panicking. She was probably telling herself she'd just steal it later after I left the room. In her mind, Zhou Yanshen was only on loan to me for a few months, and she'd already written a horrific countryside life waiting for me in her story. I turned to the basket and opened the dusty box. There it was, a palm-sized metal Rubik's Cube. In the original novel, the female lead activated it by dripping blood on it. So I grabbed a syringe I'd taken from the hospital, drew blood from my arm, and dripped it onto the cube. 3 seconds. 10 seconds. Nothing. I drew more blood and dripped it on every single item my parents left behind. Still nothing. Does only the female lead get to activate it? Wait. I remember now. The novel mentioned something about trial energy being depleted first. Maybe the timing isn't right yet. I picked up the cube again and my old habit kicked in. I'd competed in national 4-layer Rubik's Cube competitions before. I could solve one with my eyes closed. My fingers moved automatically. Click, 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 and with a final snap, all 6 faces were complete. Congratulations! You have activated the Myriad Cube space. Status. Bound. My vision went dark for a second, and suddenly 64 cube-shaped compartments appeared in my mind, along with floating text. Level. LV1, upgrade requirement. Absorb the power of precious gold. Required. 1 kilogram of gold. Good news. My space could be upgraded. The female lead's version in the novel couldn't. Bad news. Where was I supposed to find a kilogram of gold? Space size. 64 slots. Each slot can stack unlimited quantities of the same item. Silver spirit slot. Water stored here upgrades to spirit spring quality. Those 2 features match the novel. But then came something completely new. Gold spirit slot. Items stored here receive gold infusion. After infusion, item quantity times 10 returned. Cooldown. Resets daily at midnight. Note. Each item can only receive infusion once. Infused gold loses its precious power and cannot be used for space upgrades. 10 times return? The female lead never had this ability. My breathing got fast. So if I put in 1 kilogram of gold today, tomorrow I'd get 10 kilograms back? The gold couldn't be used for upgrades afterward, so I'd still need to find a real kilogram for that. But the multiplication. Then I realized something even better, a loophole. If I infused 1 gene of flour and got 10 gene back, then made that flour into 100 buns, could I infuse the buns again for 1,000? Could I keep processing and reinfusing for 100 times, 1,000 times return? We were about to be sent to the countryside to suffer. I needed to stockpile supplies fast. Brown sugar, grain coupons, cloth coupons, even cash, everything could be multiplied by 10. The upgrade preview showed future features too. Fertile soil slots, livestock slots, insight slots, crafting slots. I was practically drooling. Su Wanqing, are you done changing yet? Hurry up, let's go. My uncle's wife was banging on the door. I quickly took off my white doctor's coat, cleaned up the evidence, and looked at the now dim metal cube. In the novel, the female lead needed the physical cube to use the space. But my space was in my mind. The cube was just a shell now. I left it behind on purpose. Let Lingshan think the treasure was still sitting in that basket. A nice little smokescreen. When I stepped out of the room, The whole family went quiet. I'd changed into a soft pink blouse with my hair pinned up, carrying a blue cloth bag embroidered with white orchids. Even I could feel how good this body looked, delicate and striking. My uncle nodded approvingly, then launched into his fatherly wisdom. Wanqing, you're a pretty girl, but that temper of yours needs fixing. After you marry, be obedient to your mother-in-law. Take good care of your husband. Getting hit now and then is normal. It's nothing to cry about. If you feel wronged, just swallow it. It'll pass. You've got such a good temper, uncle, you go ahead and endure it yourself. I shot back. You. Why won't you listen to reason? Still better than being a money grubber like you. My uncle's wife threw a stack of cash and my grain booklet at me. Fine, take it and go. She was clearly thinking she'd get it all back eventually. I counted every single bill right in front of them, 912 yuan, correct, stuffed it in my cloth bag, and walked out without looking back. Behind me I could hear my uncle sputtering. How did she become like this? Lingshan, meanwhile, looked relieved. In her mind, this greedy, selfish behavior was exactly how the book character Su Wanqing was supposed to act. She'd never suspect I was the real cousin from the outside world. The moment I left, I knew she'd sneak into the storage room. Sure enough, she found the metal Rubik's Cube and was probably jumping for joy right now, thinking she'd gotten her golden cheat item. Little did she know the cube was just an empty shell. The real space was already bound to my mind. July heat was brutal. My uncle's wife led me to the street office first to handle some paperwork. Then we headed to the military compound to meet Zhou Yanshen's family. The whole time, I looked like I was spacing out, staring blankly ahead. The street office people probably thought I was simple in the head. But actually, I was busy organizing my space and figuring out what to multiply first. I had 912 yuan. After the 10 times return, that would be over 9,000. Instant millionaire by 1976 standards. But when I put the money into the space, I hit a snag. The bills automatically sorted by denomination into different slots. 50 10 yuan bills in one, 72 5 yuan bills in another, 47 1 yuan bills in a third, and 10 half yuan coins in a fourth.
For slots used up just like that.
I could only infuse one slot per day with the gold multiplication. So today, the smartest move was the 50 10 yuan bills. That would give me 500 bills back, which was 5,000 yuan. With that kind of money, tomorrow I could hit the black market and buy mountains of supplies. Rice, flour, white sugar, brown sugar, cotton clothes, cotton quilts, grain coupons. Then I'd multiply those supplies by 10 too, spending 500 yuan to get 50,000 yuan worth of goods. But there was another problem. In the original story, shortly after the male lead and his wife were sent to the countryside, an intestinal epidemic broke out. The whole village was hit. Vomiting, diarrhea, high fevers. People died. The place reeked. The original me was sick for 3 straight days, a complete mess. Even the noisy mother-in-law wouldn't come near her room. So I also needed chloramphenicol from the hospital, the drug that treats intestinal infections. It was a prescription medicine, tightly controlled. You couldn't buy it anywhere outside.
Plus pénicillin, antibiotique, anti-inflammatory pile.
I wanted to use my position at the clinic to grab some, multiply them by 10, put the originals back, and keep the extras in my space. Because in the novel, there was zero medicine in the countryside. The problem was I only had 2 days before we left for the countryside. 2 chances to use the multiplier. Today I'll multiply the money. Tomorrow at the hospital I'll do the chloramphenicol. Everything else I'll stockpile in the space and multiply later after we get to the village. Decision made. If I could get my hands on a radio, I'd have 10 radios, perfect for trading favors and bartering for supplies. I carefully placed 50 10 yuan bills into the golden slot in my mind. A flash of gold, and the money vanished. My heart dropped. Where's my 500 yuan? Then another flash. 500 crisp 10 yuan bills appeared.
5,000 yuan.
In 1976, that was a fortune beyond imagination. I couldn't stop the smile spreading across my face. What are you grinning about? Hurry up and greet them, my uncle's wife shoved me forward. We were standing in the Zhou family's living room inside the military compound. She put on her sweetest voice. Mrs. Zhou. Lingshan wasn't fortunate enough to marry Battalion Commander Zhou, but I've brought Wanqing instead. She's a doctor, perfect for taking care of him. Zhou Yanshen's mother sat there in a light-colored qipao, her hair pulled back in a tight bun, looking me up and down like she was inspecting livestock. "Hello, Auntie," I said with a polite smile, while mentally reviewing everything I knew about this woman from the plot. She sniffed dismissively. She saw right through the scheme. The Su family saw her son was injured and demoted, didn't want to marry their precious daughter to him, but didn't want to return the bride price either. So they sent an orphan as a substitute. She'd actually wanted her own niece to marry Zhou Yanshen, a proper, delicate young lady from her side of the family, not some country bumpkin. But her late husband had insisted on honoring the engagement, and her son stubbornly refused to back out, said the Su family's grandfather saved his father's life, and he wouldn't break the promise. Looking at me, all she saw was the greed of the Su family, and she let that color her opinion of me too. "In the Zhou family," she said in a sharp, condescending tone, "a wife must be proper, obedient, and hardworking. You're marrying up, so just be a good girl and serve Yanshen well." My uncle's wife immediately started nodding like a bobblehead. "Yes, yes. Mrs. Zhou is absolutely right. A husband is a woman's sky. Serve him well, and we all look good." Zhou Yanshen's mother's expression softened slightly. "That clinic job of yours, quit it immediately. Touching sick people's hands all day. How filthy. Then coming home to serve my son? Disgusting. A Zhou family wife doesn't need to work for pocket change." People would talk. They'd say we can't even afford to feed our own daughter-in-law. A woman's roots belong in a home. Serving your husband is the only thing that matters. Yanshen is the sky. You are the dirt. Keep him comfortable. Keep him happy. That's worth more than curing 1,000 patients. I lowered my head to hide my smirk. In my cousin's novel, Zhou Yanshen's mother was designed as the classic evil mother-in-law, put there specifically to torment the original me. She'd conveniently die in the countryside before the female lead showed up, so she wouldn't cause problems for the real heroine. In the original plot, the old me heard all this and exploded. She screamed at the mother-in-law, they got into a physical fight, and Zhou Yanshen walked in at exactly the wrong moment. His mother immediately started crying and playing victim, and both she and my uncle's wife pinned all the blame on me. That's why the male lead's first impression of his wife was terrible, and every argument after that, he just stayed silent. But I wasn't the old Su Wanqing. Dealing with a difficult mother-in-law, I had a trick or two up my sleeve. "I'll quit the clinic tomorrow, Mother. I'll devote myself entirely to taking care of Comrade Zhou Yanshen." I smiled sweetly, then tilted my head. "But Mom, how much are you planning to pay me for that? And what will my monthly salary be going forward?" Zhou Yanshen's mother looked at me like I'd just said something absolutely vulgar when I mentioned compensation. My uncle's wife immediately jumped in to scold me. "Serving your own husband is your duty. Will the Zhou family let you starve? Your family now, why would you ask for money?" I smiled. "Mom just said the Zhou family is too prestigious for me to work some measly clinic job. So naturally, that means you'll compensate me with something better than 38 yuan a month, right? That's 456 a year, for 1,560 over 10 years. Or are you saying I should give up a respectable, paying career to slave away here for free? What's in it for me? The privilege of emptying bedpans." My uncle's wife had nothing to say to that. "Tisk, typical small family thinking, always about money," Zhou Yanshen's mother sneered. She walked into the back room and came out carrying an old wooden box. She popped it open casually. My eyes nearly popped out of my head. So did my uncle's wife's. Inside were rows of large gold bars and gold ingots, gleaming under the light. His mother didn't even glance at the box. She just watched me with a mocking expression. "These shiny things? Can't take them when you're born, can't take them when you die. Nothing but trouble. We don't have much money around here, just these leftover scraps. Take them, quit your little job, and focus on taking care of my son." She was testing me. She wanted to humiliate me, see if I'd grab the gold like a greedy peasant or pretend to be too proud to accept. Either way, she planned to make me look bad in front of her son. I knew from the novel that this evil mother-in-law had hidden piles of gold around the city. She'd die in the countryside later, and then the female lead would conveniently find all of it. Not this time. Mom, our Zhou family doesn't use money to bully people. Don't make things difficult for her. Zhou Yanshen's deep voice cut through the room as he walked in. He'd heard his mother's sharp words from down the hall. But when his eyes landed on me, he froze. Recognition flashed across his face. I was the female doctor from this morning. The one who told him to strip. The one whose eyes got stuck on his body. His ears turned red. He clearly hadn't expected his new bride-to-be was the same woman. And without the white coat, I apparently looked good enough to make him forget the embarrassment. He composed himself and spoke to me directly. Comrade Sue, you don't need to quit your job. Saving lives is honorable work. If we get married, my salary and all my allowances will naturally be yours to manage. Now that's what a real man sounds like. I looked at him with clear, bright eyes.
Comrade Zhou Yanshen, I am Suaning.
Thank you for your kindness. But actually, I was already planning to leave the clinic. I've been developing a specialized acupuncture technique for nerve recovery in severely injured patients. It's reached a critical stage, and I need to focus on it full-time. This research could help many more comrades like you in the future. Total lie, obviously. In 2 days, we'd be forced to go to the countryside anyway, so I might as well quit now and let someone else have the position. But it sounded noble enough. Then, smooth as anything, I reached over and pulled that box of gold toward me. I closed the lid, tucked it under my arm without a single moment of hesitation, and smiled warmly at his mother. Mom, you're so generous. When an elder gives a gift, it would be rude to refuse. I wouldn't want to seem ungrateful for your kindness. Don't worry, I'll take good care of Yanshen. We'll build a wonderful life together. His mother choked. She couldn't say a word. The gold was meant to embarrass me, not to actually be given away. And now it was gone. She'd thrown a meat bun at a dog and the dog ran off with it. Meanwhile, my uncle's wife was practically bug-eyed, her mind racing. If I'd known the Zhou family had this much gold, I would have sent Lingshan to marry him instead. That Commerce Bureau director is nothing compared to actual gold bars. Then she started scheming. Since Zhou Yanshen couldn't have children, sooner or later I'd need my cousin's family to provide a son through adoption. When that happened, she'd trade a baby for gold bars. In her mind, it was already a done deal. She couldn't wait to get home and plot, so she excused herself quickly, taking one last greedy look at the box in my hands. After she left, I put on a slightly bashful expression. Oh, look at me. I got so excited I called you Mom, and we're not even married yet. Then I looked Zhou Yanshen straight in the eye. Comrade Zhou Yanshen, the introduction letter from the organization is ready, and Mom has given her blessing. So, are you willing to marry me? To live together, learn from each other, and grow together. Such a direct proposal caught him off guard. His ears went red again. Comrade Su Wanqing, that question should properly come from me. He straightened his back despite the cane and spoke in a deep, solemn voice. Let me ask you formally, Comrade Su Wanqing, will you become my revolutionary partner? Through good times and bad, supporting each other, growing together, he stood there like a mountain blocking out the sun. I looked up at him, backlit and impossibly handsome. I do? Good. Leave the rest to me. The corner of his stern mouth lifted just slightly. Yanshen, his mother, nearly fainted from rage. She'd lost both the gold and any chance of marrying off her niece. Zhou Yanshen had already cleared things with the organization beforehand, so the marriage report was approved immediately. We finished all the paperwork in no time. The moment we stepped out of the civil affairs office, he reached into his military jacket pocket and handed me a thick brown envelope and a neatly folded booklet. This is my salary and this month's ration coupons.
Take them for now.
Tomorrow I'll bring the rest of our savings and remaining coupons. Go see if there's anything we need to buy. His tone was completely natural, like this was simply how things should be. When are you planning to move in? I can come help with your luggage. I paused for a moment. In the original story, because the old me had gotten into a fistfight with his mother, Zhou Yanshen barely spoke to her, let alone handed over his money. And her uncle's family had shoved her out the door to the military compound that same day like they were getting rid of garbage. But now everything was different. I thought quickly. Tonight I needed to sneak out to the black market to buy supplies in bulk. Moving into the military compound right away would make that harder. I still need to go to the clinic tomorrow for my last shift and do a proper handover. Your leg needs rest, so don't worry about it. After work I'll pack my things and come over. Maybe we can go to the department store together and pick out some household items. His leg wasn't completely useless. He just needed a few months of recovery. I'll drive the liberation truck from the base to help you move, he said. A military truck to move my stuff? That was a bit much. But then again, tomorrow was the last day I could openly buy lots of things using our wedding as an excuse. I'd actually need a truck to haul everything. All right, thank you, Comrade Zhou Yanshen. He nodded. I'll come pick you up tomorrow afternoon. Come to the hospital early, I said. He looked at me confused. I blinked. You're not coming for treatment? Don't you want to get better? I watched it register on his face. The memory of this morning, stripping down in front of me while I tried not to stare. And now his new wife was telling him she wanted him to recover quickly too? His expression stayed calm, but I could tell his heart was racing.
Understood, Comrade Subankin.
I'll come early. He turned and walked away with his cane, back straight as always, but there was definitely a hint of fleeing in his step. I smiled to myself. Zhou Yanshen was such a serious, proper man. That's exactly what made teasing him fun. But I had something urgent to deal with first. The place we'd be sent to in the countryside was going to suffer a terrible drought. If I could store enough water, maybe I could save the crops and prevent people from starving to death that winter. Bincheng sat next to a wide river. I walked along the road until I reached it. A few workers on their bicycles rode past, bells ringing. Once nobody was around, I focused my mind on the silver spirit slot in my space. The river in front of me erupted into a massive whirlpool as water was sucked inward like a tornado. Natural water absorption in progress. 1,000 cubic meters. 10,000 cubic meters. Quality. Converting to spirit spring. By the time it got completely dark and the smell of dinner drifted from every house, my space showed 8 million cubic meters of water. That's roughly half of West Lake. Should be enough for the countryside. The river level had dropped noticeably, but I didn't feel guilty at all. Bincheng floods every July anyway. I was basically doing flood prevention. When I got back to my uncle's house, I expected a fight over the gold. Or maybe Lingshan would be suspicious about me getting gold from Zhou Yanshen's mother instead of getting into a fistfight with her like the original plot said. But nobody cared about me at all. The house was in chaos. Lingshan was sitting pale-faced on the edge of the bed, one wrist wrapped in a blood-soaked rag. The family was screaming at her. My uncle's wife was jabbing her finger in Lingshan's face. You suicidal little wretch. You're meeting director Hout tomorrow, and you pulled a stunt? Bleeding everywhere. Who are you trying to curse with this bad luck? That man choosing you is the blessing of 8 lifetimes. How dare you try to kill yourself? Cousin Yaozu lectured her about ruining the family's meal ticket. Cousin Yaoguang whined about his promised job falling through. Everyone was furious. I almost laughed. Lingshan wasn't trying to kill herself. She was trying to drip blood on the Rubik's Cube to activate it, the blood recognition method from her own novel. She probably thought she hadn't used enough blood the first time and cut deeper, accidentally going too far. If she'd been smart like me and just used a syringe to draw a clean tube of blood, nobody would have noticed. But no, she had to go slicing her wrist open like some dramatic heroine. Not that my syringe method worked either, but at least I didn't end up looking like a suicide case. Impossible, she was muttering to herself, panicking. Why didn't the blood recognition work? Did the plot correction remove the golden finger entirely? Does this world not have a space at all? Then she reassured herself. No, the transmigration itself is impossible enough. The space must exist. Maybe the timing isn't right. In my original story, the cube's trial period needed to end before blood recognition could work. That's supposed to happen in 2 days. Meanwhile, she snapped at her mother. Enough. Stop yelling. I'll marry Hao Zhengwo tomorrow and get you your precious benefits. That was a mistake. My uncle's wife exploded. She grabbed Lingshan by her braids and yanked her back hard. You dare give me attitude? I raised you for nothing. You ungrateful wretch. Benefits? That's your duty to this family. You think you're some fancy bureau chief's wife already? I'm warning you. If this marriage doesn't happen tomorrow, see what I do to you when I get home. I watched the whole scene from the side, trying not to smirk. My uncle's wife was actually more vicious with her own biological daughter than she ever was with me. With me, she'd scheme behind my back because she worried about what the neighbors would think if she hid an orphan. But her own flesh and blood? She'd slap and drag without a second thought. Lingshan was shocked and furious. She'd written this awful family herself, but experiencing their abuse firsthand was something else entirely. I could see the rage building behind her eyes. She was already planning her revenge. Once she activated her space and got her hands on Director Hao's hidden fortune, she'd destroy every one of them. I didn't stick around for the rest of the show. I grabbed a bowl of leftover rice from the stove, wolfed it down, and slipped back into my little storage closet room. Time for the real business. I took out Zhou Yanshen's mother's gold from my space and placed it into the upgrade slot. Detected. Precious gold power. Upgrade conditions met. Proceed with upgrade. Upgrade. A flash of light exploded in my mind. The 64 slots expanded to 125. Level, LV2. Upgrade requirement. 5 kilograms gold, 10 kilograms silver. Space size, 125 slots. Unlimited stacking of same items per slot. Unlocked. Fertile soil slot. Ordinary soil converts to spirit soil. Any plant can grow inside at 10x speed with higher quality. Bonus. 1 gold infusion use, no time restriction. 1 cubic meter of enhanced spirit spring. I couldn't believe it. One day after transmigrating, and I'd already gotten gold and upgraded my space. The slots were following the Rubik's Cube math. 4 cubed was 64, 5 cubed was 125. The farming slot was huge. Spirit soil with 10 times growth speed meant I'd never go hungry in the countryside. I could grow whatever I wanted. I just needed to grab some seeds before we left. Buying them after arriving would look suspicious. The extra gold infusion charge was perfect timing. One more chance to multiply something by 10 before heading to the countryside. I found a ceramic mug in my storage closet and willed it full of spirit spring water. I gulped it down. Cool, sweet, refreshing. Then I tried regular spirit spring water for comparison. The enhanced version tasted better, but honestly, neither one seemed to change my body in any noticeable way. I yawned and collapsed onto my narrow wooden plank bed. At 3 a.m, I crept out of bed and changed into a disguise. Dark rough cotton jacket, worn-out cloth shoes, head wrapped in a scarf with only my eyes showing. Hunched over, I looked like some old country woman. I grabbed the wicker basket from the storage room and headed for the black market in the abandoned factory district on the east side of the city. In the novel, the female lead became a regular customer here after getting her space. And her version of the black market was absolutely ridiculous. Not just rice and flour and oil like a normal one, but somehow televisions, bicycles, and cameras would show up too. No ration coupons needed. Whatever the female lead happened to need, the black market magically had it. I wanted to see just how absurd this place really was. It was actually impressive. Huge scale, just like the novel described. Pitch black, goods spread out on the ground, people flashing their flashlights for a second then clicking them off. Everyone had their faces covered, whispering deals, moving quickly. If you turned around and walked 3 steps into the crowd, nobody could find you again. Which meant there was no reason to be stupid about it like the female lead, who'd buy hundreds of jeans of grain at once and attract attention from jealous people. Then she'd conveniently get cornered with no escape, right when the male lead happened to show up for a heroic rescue. Please. It's 3 a.m. Why would a military officer be wandering around a black market? He's supposed to be asleep. I rolled my eyes at my cousin's terrible plot logic and got to shopping. First stop, an old lady with a basket of eggs and 2 live chickens. How much for the eggs? 70 cents a jean. No coupons needed. A little pricier than the state store, but reasonable for the black market. And to me, 1 basket of eggs was really 10 baskets. I'll take them all. She perked right up. 11 jean, I'll round down. Want the chickens too? 5 yuan each. Good for soup or laying eggs. I hesitated. My space didn't have the livestock slot yet. That was a future upgrade. But these weren't 2 chickens. These were 20 chickens after multiplication. The countryside was going to be rough. Imagine having chicken stew whenever I wanted. I'd love to, but I live in a small factory dormitory. No room to keep them alive, and I don't know how to butcher them. If you could kill and clean them for me, say no more. I'll do it right now. She slaughtered and cleaned both chickens in minutes, then loaded the eggs into my basket. 2 chickens for 10 yuan, eggs for 7 yuan 70 cents. I reached into my pocket and almost handed over the smaller bills, then caught myself. Wait. The 5 yuan and 1 yuan bills in my space hadn't been through gold infusion yet. Each 5 yuan bill was actually worth 50 yuan to me. I couldn't waste those buying chicken. I switched to 2 of the already multiplied 10 yuan bills instead. Auntie, can you give me change? Sure, no problem. She looked relieved I wasn't trying to skip out on payment. I took my change and disappeared into the crowd with my basket. Then I hit up vendor after vendor. 30 jin of fine wheat flour, 30 jin of polished rice, 20 jin of millet and soybeans, cooking oil, national grain coupons, and industrial coupons. At every stop, I paid with the multiplied 10 yuan bills and asked for change in 5s and 1s. Once I collected enough smaller bills, I'd multiply those too. I was exploiting the system, spending the already infused money, collecting fresh bills as change, and building up new stacks for the next round of multiplication. I moved fast, never buying too much from one seller, never staying in one spot. Hit and run, melting into the dark crowd between each purchase. By the time the skies started getting light, I'd filled up 87 of my 125 storage slots. 500 jin of flour, 400 jin of rice, 200 jin of soybeans, 100 jin of cooking oil, 50 jin of salt, 50 jin of eggs, for cleaned chickens, 100 jin of pork, 30 jin of salted fish, dried mushrooms, wood ear fungus, mountain goods, sweet potatoes, peanuts, a couple jin of white and brown sugar, 2 boxes of malted milk powder. Then all the practical stuff, 50 feet of thick cotton fabric, 20 jin of raw cotton, 3 pairs of rubber-soled cotton shoes, 2 kerosene lamps, 2 metal thermoses, a shovel, a hoe, matches, soap, yarn, and several cartons of cigarettes for trading. Best of all, someone was selling seeds. I also grabbed fresh vegetables and fruits, wild mushrooms, apples, eggplant, chives, cabbage, pumpkin. I could eat the produce and plant the seeds in my space later. I still had about 1,000 yuan left out of the 5,000, and my space looked like a warehouse. I couldn't believe how far the money went in 1976. I was looking around for old ladies selling gold jewelry. I needed 5 kilograms for my next upgrade. Every little bit counted, when a big guy walked up and opened his black coat, right in front of me. I tensed up, thinking he was pulling a weapon. Instead, he sneaked out a wristwatch and a camera. Shanghai brand all-steel watch, 200 yuan. Seagull 4B twin-lens camera, 450. Cash only, no coupons. My eyes went wide. A camera and a watch at the black market? This was definitely my cousin's ridiculous novel world, where the female lead could find anything she needed. These were obviously confiscated goods from some raided household, and this guy had the guts to sell them here. He was already turning to leave when I grabbed him. Wait, I'll take both. We did the exchange fast, both of us jumpy and paranoid. He counted the money, I checked the camera and watch. Then we bolted in opposite directions. 1 minute later, damn it, I ran the wrong way. I doubled back and disappeared into the crowd. By the time I got back to my uncle's house and into my storage closet, my heart was still pounding. I set down the empty basket, and a wicked idea formed in my head. The gold infusion had refreshed at midnight. I put the camera into my space and activated it. Flash! 10 identical Seagull cameras appeared, stacked neatly in one slot. A 450 yuan camera times 10. Now, wasn't that Seagull camera the exact thing my cousin brother Yaguang has been begging for? I crept out of my room like a cat and tiptoed to where Yaguang was sleeping. He was 17, the kind of deep sleeper you could kick twice and he still wouldn't wake up. I placed the camera in his arms and let him cuddle it like a teddy bear. Then I snuck into my uncle and aunt's bedroom. In the novel, the The female lead was supposed to steal all their savings in a few days. My uncle and aunt slept like the dead, one snoring, the other sleeping with her mouth wide open. I opened the cabinet where they hid their money, grabbed the iron box, hugged it to my chest, and sprinted back to my room with my heart hammering. Originally, I wasn't going to steal the money. If the savings disappeared too early, Lingshan would notice the plot had changed and might suspect me. But then I'd found that camera, and everything clicked into a beautiful plan. Steal? No, I'm taking back what's mine. This family had swallowed my parents' death benefits, stolen my father's job assignment, sold off every valuable thing my parents owned, and treated me like garbage the whole time. Every cent in that box belonged to me by rights. I counted it. 3,850 yuan. They'd gotten rich off my parents' money, gifts squeezed from the Zhou family, and bride price demanded from director Hao. In the original novel, this exact sum became the female lead's startup capital, the money she used to build her business empire, buy up Beijing courtyard houses, and get rich. Now it was all mine. Was I stealing the female lead's resources? Absolutely. I couldn't find the gold bars and gold bracelet. My aunt had hidden those somewhere else. But I wasn't greedy. This was enough. I took out the cash, left about 200 yuan in the iron box, then crept into Yaguang's room and stuffed the box into his wardrobe. That kid was obsessed with clothes and appearance. He opened that wardrobe every single morning to pick out an outfit. He'd definitely find the money. A camera in his arms. A box of cash in his closet. I changed back into normal clothes, packed up the original me's pathetic little bundle of belongings, and waited until around 7 when the household started stirring. Then I strolled out casually. Time for the show to begin. My uncle's wife was banging pots around making breakfast. My uncle sat there sipping tea from his red double happiness enamel mug, reading the newspaper like some retired gentleman. Wanqing, you're up? Your auntie made corn porridge and fried eggs, your favorite. Come eat with us. Since when did he care whether I ate? The sun must be rising from the west today. No thanks, uncle. I need to get to the hospital early for my last day of work. Can't be late. All right, just come back early this afternoon. Before you move out, let's all sit down and have a nice family talk. He was squinting at me with that patient smile. I knew exactly what he was thinking. He'd been too busy dealing with Lingshan's drama last night and forgot to demand my gold. He was planning to get it back this afternoon. The second I left, I knew my uncle's wife would tear apart my storage closet looking for the gold. She'd come up empty, of course. It was all in my space. Meanwhile, Yaguang went rushing out the door clutching something to his chest, yelling that his friend was treating him to lunch at the state restaurant. His mother screamed after him about wasting her cooking. Nobody noticed what he was carrying. I stopped at the state-run restaurant first. Tomorrow I'd be shipped off to the countryside, so this might be my last chance at city food for a while. I had plenty of ration coupons from the black market and from Zhou Yanshen. 5 meat buns, 5 steamed buns, 5 fried dough sticks, and fill this canteen with soy milk, please. I handed over a military canteen. The state restaurant had strict limits. That was the maximum per person. They also served braised pork at lunch, but only 2 portions per customer. Couldn't get that now anyway. I carried the heavy bundle of food to a quiet spot, and with a thought, everything except 1 meat bun went into my space. The downside was that all these small items took up 4 whole slots. I really needed more gold to upgrade. But once I got to the countryside, I could multiply all this food by 10 at my leisure. That meat bun was enormous and incredibly fragrant. I ate it with grease running down my chin, eyes closed in bliss. Washed it down with spirit spring water for my space.
Pure happiness.
Then something felt wrong. I rubbed my stomach. Why am I hungrier than before? I pulled out 2 big steamed buns and an apple before I finally felt satisfied. My appetite had doubled, no, tripled. I slapped my forehead. Then I quietly took out a 50-jean sack of rice and lifted it with one hand. Easy as picking up a pillow. My appetite increased and my strength increased. Is this what the spirit spring does to the body? Good news either way. At the hospital, I went straight to head nurse Wang Kaifeng. Her nephew had been working as a doctor's apprentice for over a year without a permanent position, just a temp worker. Nurse Wang, I'm giving up my position. Would your nephew be interested in taking it over? Her eyes went wide. Little Sue, are you serious? You'd give up an iron rice bowl? In this era, a permanent government position was worth its weight in gold. I put on a slightly sad expression. My uncle married me off. My mother-in-law wants me to stay home and take care of my husband. I figured the position shouldn't go to waste. Better to give it to someone who can keep serving the revolutionary health cause. What an old-fashioned family. She wanted to comfort me, but was clearly more excited about her nephew's opportunity. You're really sure about this? I nodded. She offered 1,200 yuan, a fair price. Regular jobs went for 400 or 500, supply cooperatives for 700 or 800, but a hospital position with full benefits was worth more. She was so afraid I'd change my mind that she dragged me straight to the personnel office. We filed it as voluntary resignation due to family circumstances, recommending Comrade Wang Guohua as replacement. Done in minutes. 1,200 yuan richer, just like that. I still went back to the clinic and saw a few patients. Might as well finish my last shift properly. Then I wrote myself a prescription under the excuse of preparing essential medicines for upcoming rural support work, including chloramphenicol, the antibiotic I'd need for the intestinal epidemic. I took the prescription to the pharmacy. Sister Zhang, here to pick up my medicine. She was knitting with her legs crossed, finished her row, then got up to help. Little Sue, picking up your own prescription? Have a seat. I'll get everything. The moment she turned her back, my hand brushed casually past the glass bottle of chloramphenicol on the shelf. In one thought, all 50 vials vanished into my space. Inside my space, I used the bonus golden fusion from my upgrade. Golden flash, 10 times return. 500 vials of chloramphenicol appeared, lined up perfectly. 500 vials. That was enough to handle an entire village epidemic. Then I put the original 50 vials right back on the shelf, exactly where they'd been. Nobody saw a thing. Sister Zhang came back with the rest of my prescription: penicillin, streptomycin, pain pills, blood-stopping powder, gauze, tape, alcohol, iodine, a set of silver acupuncture needles, syringes, and some surgical tools. All properly documented through official channels, so nobody could question it. The quantities were small, but once I got to the countryside, I could multiply one type per day by 10. Combined with my acupuncture skills, I could handle almost any medical situation. The original me had suffered in the countryside with nothing. I wouldn't. At lunch, I went to the Red Star restaurant and ordered the most expensive dishes: braised pork for 3 yuan, a whole braised chicken for 3 yuan, sweet and sour carp for 350, braised pork knuckle for 4 yuan, plus several stir-fries and 2 huge basins of rice. Everything went straight into my space. I couldn't bear to eat any of the meat knowing it would be worth 10 times more later, so I just had 2 big bowls of plain rice and a plate of shredded potatoes. At 3 o'clock, Zhou Yanshen showed up at the hospital right on time. He'd changed out of his military uniform into a well-fitted Zhongshan suit. Those long legs of his were impossible to miss. Comrade Sue, I'm here for treatment. Same calm voice as always. I couldn't resist messing with him. I pointed at the examination bed with a straight face. All right, strip. He froze. I could practically see his brain short-circuiting. Acupuncture means needles go where the problem is. And his problem was down there. Was I going to turn him into a pincushion? His ears turned bright red. All of it. He sounded like a virtuous maiden about to be ravished. I burst out laughing. What are you thinking, Comrade Zhou? Revolutionary treatment requires proper thoughts. Just the shirt. He exhaled with visible relief, though the redness had spread down his neck. He unbuttoned his shirt, revealing those powerful arms and that sculpted chest. Better than a statue. Better than anything. I had to swallow hard. When was I ever going to get to actually enjoy this man? My cool fingertips traced from his chest down across his abs, searching for acupuncture points. Well, mostly searching for acupuncture points. Zhou Yanshen felt an odd tingling but told himself firmly that this was just medical procedure. A proper doctor like Comrade Sue would never touch him on purpose. He definitely shouldn't think strange thoughts. I needled the kidney strengthening and essence nourishing points to speed up his recovery. By the time he snapped out of his daze, all the needles were already out, and I was handing him a cup of spirit spring water with a smile. He drank it all and noticed it tasted much sweeter and fresher than normal water, but didn't comment. After I finished my remaining handover work, I came back carrying my big medicine chest. Zhou Yanshen immediately reached over with his long hands and took it from me. "I'll carry that." Then, as if worried he'd sounded too forceful, he added, "My assignment today is to carry things for Comrade Su, a man who fights to do the heavy lifting."
Who wouldn't love that?
We climbed into the grass-green Liberation truck he'd driven over. The engine roared as we pulled away from the hospital, and head nurse Wang watched us go with visible regret. If she'd known I was marrying someone like this, she would never have paid 1,200 yuan for my position. On the road, Zhou Yanshen asked if my family knew about the move. Then he mentioned he had a bicycle coupon and wanted to take me to the department store to buy one. He was also going to try to get sewing machine and watch coupons.
We don't need any of that, I said.
Tomorrow we'd be sent to the countryside anyway. We couldn't take big items like that. I want to buy other things instead. And I don't get along with my uncle's family, so we'll just say a quick hello. His hands tightened slightly on the steering wheel. He seemed to understand my situation, and his voice softened.
All right.
You decide what you need. The truck rumbled up to the shabby compound where my uncle lived, and instantly every neighbor came out to gawk. Auntie Zhang cracked her sunflower seeds and called out, "Wanqing, how come you're riding in a liberation truck?" "Who's this comrade?" I jumped down from the cab, grinning. "Annie Zhang, this is my husband, Comrade Zhou Yanshen. The organization approved our marriage. I'm here to pack up and move to the military compound." Zhou Yanshen stood beside me with his usual composed expression, though I noticed his back straightened even more. The neighbors went wild. "You're married already? What a handsome man. Isn't that the one Xiaolan was always bragging about?" Then, from inside my uncle's house, came the most spectacular wailing and screaming I'd ever heard, mixed with my uncle's wife cursing at the top of her lungs. I grabbed Zhou Yanshen's hand. Something must have happened inside. "Let's go check." I practically sprinted. Couldn't miss the show. The neighbors only caught a glimpse through the open door, Yaguang strung up and getting beaten, before I shut it behind us. "You ungrateful little thief," my uncle's wife shrieked. "You stole the family savings. Every last cent. Then you went and blew it on that stupid camera and treating your street rat friends to fancy meals. I'll beat you to death." My uncle's face was dark as iron, whipping Yaguang with a broom handle. "I'll teach you to steal. No wonder you skipped breakfast. You'd already taken my money and gone out playing big shot. I'm going to break your legs today." Yaguang was howling. "I didn't steal anything. The money just appeared in my wardrobe. You expect me to believe money grew legs and walked into your closet?" His mother lunged at him, clawing. "Then how'd that camera worth several hundred yuan magically appear in your arms? Where's the rest of the money? Where did you hide it?" Yaguang was kicking and screaming. "The camera just appeared in my arms. I only took 200 from the iron box. I just treated my friends to the Red Star restaurant and bought them some clothes and leather shoes. That's it. I didn't steal the rest. You're making it worse." My uncle beat him harder. My uncle's wife nearly fainted when she heard Red Star restaurant, leather shoes, and Dacron fabric. Then Lingshan charged out of her corner like a wild animal. She snatched the broom from my uncle and started beating Yaguang herself, even harder than before. I knew exactly what was going through her head. That money was supposed to be hers, her startup capital, her first fortune in this novel world. First I'd taken back 912 yuan, and now this idiot little brother had blown through most of the rest, treating his loser friends to fancy meals and new clothes. Yaguang sobbed. "I didn't take it. I only spent the 200 that was in the box. You're all blaming me for nothing." I let my lips curve up just slightly. "Only the person who framed you knows exactly how innocent you are." Did I feel bad? Not one bit. The original me had washed this family's clothes since childhood, served them hand and foot, and Yaguang had bullied her constantly. He earned this beating. After I'd enjoyed the show long enough, I walked into my storage closet, grabbed my tiny bundle of belongings, and came back out. "Uncle, I'm here for my things. I'm leaving now." He finally noticed me and Zhou Yanshen standing at the door. His face went red with embarrassment. "Oh, right. Battalion Commander Zhou is here too? Sorry about this mess." How about when Wanqing comes back to visit in a couple days, we'll all have a nice family dinner? Zhou Yanshen said nothing. Just a small nod. I didn't bother with pleasantries either. Grabbed my bundle and walked out with Zhou Yanshen. In the original plot, this would have been the moment when the family was celebrating Lingshan's wedding to director Hao, too busy showing off to care about me. But the drama I'd engineered had changed everything. They were clearly still planning to get that gold back from me, but too bad. Tomorrow I'd be gone. Back in the truck, Zhou Yanshen looked at the pathetic little bundle sitting on my lap.
His brow tightened.
Your luggage. Is that all? I nodded. The blankets and basins were my parents' old things from over a decade ago. Too worn out to use. I didn't bother bringing them. He went quiet. His knuckles whitened on the steering wheel. I could tell he was putting it together. What kind of life I must have lived in that house all these years, to walk away with practically nothing. He started the engine. Let's go to the department store. We'll get everything you need. That was exactly what I'd been waiting to hear. Perfect excuse to stock up before heading to the countryside. In the original story, Zhou Yanshen's house would be raided right around now. Everything confiscated, money seized. The original me and his mother had spent the whole night fighting, one trying to stop the raiders, the other refusing to go to the countryside. They were forced onto a train the next morning with absolutely nothing, starving for 3 days before arriving at the village. This time, I was going prepared. We'd buy everything we could carry. Comrade Zhou Yanshen, you're so good to me. Thank you. He grunted a flat then casually handed me an iron box. I promised yesterday I'd bring the rest. This is my savings from all these years, about 4,000 yuan. It's yours now. I'll leave the household finances to you from here on. Listen to that. He made giving me all his money sound like he was asking me to do him a favor. My eyes lit up like stars.
Wow.
You really remembered. I'll take good care of our little family's finances, I promise. I did the math in my head. My original 912 minus the 500 I'd already multiplied left 412. Zhou Yanshen's first payment was 112. The money from my uncle's house was 3,850. Selling my job brought 1,200. And now 4,000 more. That put me over 9,000 yuan in total. And most of that could still be multiplied by 10. 90,000 yuan. Once economic reforms opened up, I'd be unstoppable. Though I decided to stop multiplying cash, the serial numbers on the bills would be identical. That was asking to get arrested. The real lucky thing was that in the original story, all this money would have been confiscated during the raid. But because Zhou Yanshen had promised to give it to me yesterday, he packed it up this morning before the raid happened. By pure accident, every cent had ended up safely in my hands. He looked slightly uncomfortable under my sparkling gaze. There are also some fabric pieces at home, wool and silk, nice bright colors. Women usually like those. And some other odds and ends. Take whatever you want. Even though those things would probably be seized in the raid, I was still touched. This man was genuinely trying to hand me everything he owned. Nothing like how he'd treated the original wife in the novel. That's more than enough, Comrade Zhou Yanshen. You've been so generous. The truck pulled up in front of the Binching department store, a square Soviet-style building with huge red slogans hanging over the entrance. Inside, glass display counters lined up in rows, stocked with all kinds of goods in limited quantities.
Yanshen Ye.
What a coincidence you're shopping too. A young woman in a trendy Lenin-style jacket with 2 shiny braids came bouncing over like a butterfly, eyes locked on Zhou Yanshen, completely ignoring me. Zhou Yanshen stepped back half a pace. I'm here with your sister-in-law to buy things. This is your sister-in-law, Comrade Su Wanqing. Then he turned to me immediately, practically filing an official report. This is my cousin, Comrade Lin Tingting. Sister-in-law? Me? Lin Tingting's smile froze. She finally looked at me, eyes scanning my half-worn clothes with obvious contempt. The classic obsessive cousin from the novel. The one who chased after Zhou Yanshen everywhere, followed him all the way to the countryside, teamed up with his evil mother to bully the original me. A standard villain side character. I naturally hooked my arm through Zhou Yanshen's and smiled warmly. Hello, cousin. I'm Su Wanqing, Yanshen's wife. We got our marriage certificate yesterday, and today he's taking me shopping for wedding supplies. Tingting's face went white. She forced out a terrible smile. Is that so? Auntie didn't mention it. Congratulations. I was shopping too. Let's go together. She was already plotting to destroy our marriage. In her mind, Zhou Yanshen belonged to her. I smiled sweetly. Sure. First stop, the fabric counter. Since we'd be sent to a remote village, sturdy fabric would be valuable for trading. You could swap it for grain and use it to build relationships with locals. Comrade, give me 10 zhong 5 chi of your toughest work cloth. Tingting covered her nose with her handkerchief. This fabric is so rough and ugly. You'd actually wear this? Yanshen Ji grew up wealthy. He's never worn anything this crude. I put on my most righteous face. Cousin, Chairman Mao taught us that thrift is a family treasure. This fabric is durable, perfect for the working people. Yanshen and I are revolutionary comrades. What's wrong with wearing it while serving the country? Zhou Yanshen nodded approvingly, then turned to Tingting with a slight frown. Wanqing is right. Clothes should be practical and ideologically sound. If you keep talking like this, don't follow us. Tingting went red. But if she's so frugal, why is she buying so much? That's enough cloth for 2 lifetimes. I turned to Zhou Yanshen. After my father died, his old comrades in arms helped me a lot. Now that we're married, I should send them some fabric as a thank you gift. Really, I just wanted extra cloth to trade for grain and goodwill in the countryside. Zhou Yanshen nodded seriously. That's very thoughtful, Comrade Su Wanqing. The saleswoman snapped at us. Are you done arguing? Do you want this or not? I'm busy. The work cloth alone cost 55 yuan. Then I grabbed cotton flannel, wool yarn, military rubber shoes, and insulated work boots, another 68 yuan. All of it purchased openly and legally, so I could bring it to the countryside without suspicion. And then multiply it all by 10. I was like a woman possessed. After the fabric section, I hit daily necessities, a 3-5 brand desk clock, a Great Wall, flashlight, a metal thermos, zhonghua, toothpaste, toothbrushes, soap, towels, enamel wash basins, enamel mugs. I couldn't even imagine how comfortable my countryside life was going to be with all this. Tingting kept muttering, country bumpkin, under her breath. Zhou Yanshen turned into a human shopping cart. The moment I picked something up, he'd grab it. Soon both his hands and even his cane were loaded with bags and packages. Cousin, don't just stand there. Your Yanshen Ji is running out of arms. Here, hold these. I shoved things at her without hesitation. Zhou Yanshen nodded along. Your sister-in-law isn't very strong. Help carry some. Then why isn't she carrying anything? Tingting looked like she was about to explode. She'd thought I was some tasteless peasant who only bought cheap work cloth. But when we hit the food section, I went absolutely wild. Milk candies, fruit hard candies, canned fruit, canned luncheon meat. I kept piling things into Tingting's arms like money didn't exist. Each tiny can of luncheon meat cost 5 yuan. She couldn't afford to buy those for herself on a normal day. Just the food alone cost 2 months of Zhou Yanshen's salary. But these were things you couldn't get without coupons, and once we went to the countryside, they'd be impossible to find. Buy now or never. Tingting finally cracked. Yanshen Ji, aren't you going to stop her? It's not even a holiday. She's wasting so much money. She has no concept of saving. Buying food and nutrition isn't wasting money. If she wants to eat, she can buy as much as she wants. Zhou Yanshen looked at me with something like concern, probably thinking I was painfully thin and needed feeding up. Is that enough? Should we get more? I pulled out a handkerchief and dabbed at some non-existent sweat on his forehead. You've worked so hard, Comrade Zhou Yanshen. Let's go get some malted milk powder too. You need nutrition as well. It's not hard work. He actually seemed energized. Tingting stomped her foot. This flirty act was exactly the kind of thing Zhou Yanshen supposedly hated in women. How was he falling for it? She'd bought 1 pair of 38 yuan leather shoes and gotten called wasteful, but I'd spent hundreds on food, and that was fine? The double standard was killing her. By the time I was done, I was carrying packages of dried noodles and malted milk powder myself. We'd used up nearly every coupon. Luckily, Zhou Yanshen had packed several large woven sacks in the truck bed, and we stuffed everything inside. Comrade Zhou Yanshen, you must be hungry. You're an injured man who needs proper nutrition. Come on, my treat. Let's eat something good. Ting fumed silently. If he's injured, why did I make him carry all that stuff? She tagged along as we went into the state-run Workers' Peasant Soldiers restaurant. I ordered braised pork, chicken stewed with mushrooms, braised fish, stir-fried greens, and rice. Everything was pure, natural, no chemicals, and incredibly delicious. I polished off 2 huge bowls of rice and a big bowl of soup. The Spirit Spring water must have been working on me because my appetite was enormous now. Even Zhou Yanshen seemed to find the food unusually good today. He put away 3 full bowls. Ting poked at her rice with her chopsticks. Sister-in-law, don't you think you eat a bit too much? I swallowed the meat in my mouth and smiled. Of course, I need to stay healthy to take care of your Yanshen. Then I turned to Zhou Yanshen. This meat is so good. Let's bring some home for our mom to try. I knew perfectly well that his mother only ate bland food and wouldn't touch greasy dishes. But saying our mom was strategic. Zhou Yanshen noticed it immediately. His new wife was calling his mother our mom, which meant she'd accepted him as family. Despite how badly his mother treated me yesterday, I was being the bigger person.
His eyes softened.
He nodded. Go ahead and order whatever you want to bring. Perfect. More food for my space stockpile and for the 3-day train ride ahead. Waiter. 1 more braised beef, sweet and sour pork, fried fish, roast chicken, 3 portions each of pickled vegetables and sauerkraut, 10 steamed buns, and actually 1 more basin of rice too. All packed to go. I deliberately glanced at Ting. Her face was priceless. Yanshen, Andy can't possibly eat all that. Zhou Yanshen simply told the waiter what she said. Ting looked like she was going to combust. What did her cousins see in this country bumpkin? Besides being pretty, what did I have that she didn't? After the meal, I dragged Zhou Yanshen to the supply cooperative next door for matches, salt, and other small items. The truck bed was now piled high with our haul, a mountain of supplies. Time to get rid of the cousin. Ting, we can't have you over tonight. It's my first night moving into your brother's place, and we have important business tonight. Tonight? Important business? Her face went dark. I'd basically announced I was going to sleep with her beloved cousin, right to her face. But Yanshen, I want to visit Auntie. And your leg isn't healed yet. You shouldn't be exerting yourself. Zhou Yanshen cleared his throat awkwardly, cutting her off. It's getting dark. Go home before your family worries. He slammed the truck door shut and drove off, leaving her in a cloud of exhaust. Through the side mirror, I could see her crying. I couldn't help laughing. Your cousin is quite something. Ignore her. If she gives you trouble, pull rank as her sister-in-law. Deal. I was in a wonderful mood. Let's swing by one of my father's old war buddies' house first. I want to drop off some fabric. He agreed. I had another reason for this visit, a surprise bomb I was planting for my dear cousin Lingshan. I was going to cut off every escape route she had. After the delivery, we reached the military compound. I told him to stop the truck outside. Let's just park here. We just ate. I want to walk with you, stretch our legs, and chat on the way back. The real reason? It was 7 in the evening. The raid on the Zhou household was probably happening right now. Driving a truckload of goods straight in would be like delivering it all to the confiscators on a silver platter. All right. Zhou Yanshen looked pleased. His wife wanted to take a romantic evening stroll with him. He started grabbing armfuls of shopping bags from the truck, but I stopped him. There's too much. Let's just carry tonight's essentials and the food. We'll come back for the rest tomorrow. He thought about it. Hauling all those bags would ruin our evening walk. He could always come back alone after I went to sleep. So we carried just a few bundles. The new cotton quilt, toiletries, the thermos, the packed restaurant food, and a big bag of candy. I unwrapped a piece of candy. Comrade Zhou Yanshen, open up. I popped it into his mouth. His lips were thin and smooth, soft against my fingertips. He froze for a second. My hand was cold against his mouth. I saw something flicker in his eyes, like he wanted to pull my hand close and warm it up. He held back. Then I could see the regret on his face. Wait, she's my wife. Why didn't I hold her hand?
Sweet? I asked.
I popped one in my own mouth too. Fruit candy. sugary, and completely artificial. Definitely unhealthy. I'd have to cut back on these. But I saved all the colorful wrappers. What are the wrappers for? He asked softly. I'm going to fold paper cranes. Once I've eaten enough candy, I'll fill a whole jar with cranes and give it to you. That was a lie. The candy was for bribing the Revolutionary Committee people, so they'd let us bring more luggage. Zhou Yanshen's throat moved. Something in his expression melted.
All right.
Thank you, Comrade Su Wanqing. I could almost see the wheels turning. He was already thinking about what gift he could give me in return. Probably remembering there was more gold stashed at his family's old ancestral property. We walked and talked until we reached the Zhou family gate. The moment we turned the corner, the pleasant mood shattered. Several people in cadre uniforms stood at the entrance, red armbands reading Revolutionary Committee on their sleeves. One of them was arguing loudly with Zhou Yanshen's mother. Zhou Yanshen's face went hard. He strode forward. Political Commissar Zhang? What's going on here? The man at the front pulled out a document, his tone slightly more polite than I'd expected. Comrade Zhou Yanshen, you've been reported. After careful review, due to your mother's historical background issues and current policy requirements, the organization has decided that your entire family will be transferred to the Xinjiang Production Corps for labor reform. Here are your transfer orders. Xinjiang, over 3,000 kilometers from Bincheng, one of the harshest, poorest places in the country. The political commissar paused, looking at Zhou Yanshen with a complicated expression. Your housing and organizational status will be kept on hold. Once your mother's reform shows real results and your family passes through the labor process, we'll discuss your return. Another cadre added, each person may bring no more than 2 standard bundles of luggage. Items reflecting a bourgeois lifestyle are prohibited. We need to inventory and seal everything now. Zhou Yanshen's mother immediately lost it. My Camp Horwood chest and my gramophone. Those are the last things my parents left me. Take everything else, but those 2 stay. The workers moved to put seals on them. She threw herself over her things. Zhou Yanshen took the document, read it calmly, and spoke with a tight jaw. Political Commissar Zhang, I accept the organization's decision. Seal whatever needs sealing. I have no objections. Then he gently pushed me forward half a step. But Comrade Su Wanqing and I registered our marriage only yesterday, before the report was filed. Her personal history is completely clean. She's an outstanding medical worker. She should not be included in this transfer. He paused and took a deep breath. If the organization deems it necessary, I can file for divorce immediately to make sure she isn't dragged down by this. My heart jolted. In the original story, the old me had screamed and demanded a divorce the second she heard about the countryside. Zhou Yanshen had quietly agreed. His mother had thrown a tantrum about the furniture. The whole scene was ugly and humiliating, and all 3 of them were shipped off with nothing. But now, this man was offering to divorce me to protect me, without me even asking. No divorce. His mother cut in immediately. Who's going to take care of us if she leaves? But Yanshen, tell them my chest and gramophone have to stay. The political commissar shook his head, just like in the original plot. Divorcing now would only raise more suspicion. I'm afraid Comrade Su Wanqing will have to accompany you. Zhou Yanshen's brow furrowed deeper. He didn't marry a wife to make her suffer. Especially someone as delicate as me, who couldn't even carry her own luggage. How could she do hard labor in the countryside? He started to speak again, ready to beg the commissar. But I reached out and placed my hand over his. My hand was too small to cover it properly. I could only grip his fingers. He froze and looked down at me. I smiled up at him and shook my head. Comrade Zhou Yanshen, thank you for thinking of me. But please don't mention divorce again. I turned to the political commissar. Comrade Zhang, since Zhou Yanshen and I became revolutionary partners, we share both the sweet and the bitter. The production corps serves the nation too. I'm willing to go with him. Wherever we are, we're serving the people and building our country. Zhou Yanshen's composure cracked for just a second. The commissar's eyes showed genuine respect. Then I made my real move. Speaking of which, look at this timing. We just got married. We bought wedding candy today and haven't even had a chance to hand it out yet. I pulled out several big bags of colorful candy from my cloth sack and pressed them into the commissar's hands and the other cadre's hands before they could refuse. Just a small token. Share in our happiness. I kept my tone warm and sincere. Please tell the organization not to worry. Comrade Zhou Yanshen and I will absolutely follow all arrangements. We'll work hard at the core, reform our thinking, and live up to the organization's expectations. That did it. Guilt spread across every cadre's face. Here was a young bride who'd just gotten married, facing exile to the middle of nowhere, and instead of crying or fighting, she was handing out wedding candy with a smile. The commissar nodded, his voice noticeably softer. Comrade Zhou Yanshen clearly has high revolutionary awareness. Everyone take the candy. They just got married and she's volunteering to go to the countryside. Let's be flexible where we can. The other cadres quickly agreed. Congratulations. Wishing you and Comrade Zhou an early son. The atmosphere completely changed. I seized the moment. You see, we just bought our wedding household necessities today. Thermoses, cups, bedding, clothes, all daily essentials. It's such a long journey, so our luggage might be a bit more than usual. The commissar waved his hand. Understood. Completely understood. Your newlyweds bring what you need. As long as nothing's obviously prohibited, a little extra luggage is fine. I'll let the train station and the local receiving unit know to give you some accommodation. He was imagining maybe 1 or 2 extra bags. He had absolutely no idea I was planning to haul a truck's worth of supplies. And about my mother-in-law. I pointed at Zhou Yanshen's mother, who was clutching her gramophone like it was a life raft. She can leave everything else behind, but could she just bring her chest and the gramophone? Let her carry those 2 heavy things onto a packed train. When she was squeezed and starving for 3 days, we'd see how she felt about her precious antiques. But the good daughter-in-law image? That was mine now. I was going to be the wife who loved her mother-in-law but got bullied anyway, in Zhou Yanshen's eyes. Behind the scenes, of course, was a different story entirely. The commissar looked at the full package of candy in his hand. The big decisions were already made. These little details didn't matter. Those 2 items are specially approved. But everything else that doesn't meet regulations must be confiscated and sealed. Thank you, Commissar. Thank you, organization. I bowed gratefully. His mother collapsed onto the floor, hugging her gramophone, watching helplessly as strangers emptied the house. Furniture, wooden bed frames, everything. By the end, the Zhou home was completely bare. Thank you, Comrade Zhou Yanshen, Zhou Yanshen said quietly. Thank me for what? This is when we need to pull together as a team. Let's hurry and pack what we need for tomorrow morning. Zhou Yanshen paused, and I could see the realization cross his face. It was lucky I'd insisted on buying all those practical supplies at the department store today. And lucky I'd wanted to take an evening walk instead of driving the truck straight home. If we'd pulled up with a truckload of canned beef, fruit preserves, and luxury goods, even the commissar's goodwill couldn't have saved them from confiscation. Sometimes being smart looked exactly like being sweet. Zhou Yanshen didn't waste time. You start packing. There's a lot to move. I'll go borrow tools to build a cart and bring back everything from the truck. He left and came back pushing a flatbed cart piled high with all our department store purchases. Then he disappeared again, without explaining where he was going. I got to work. Enamel mugs, small iron pot, enamel bowls, aluminum lunchboxes, all coming with us. Military overcoats, bedding, blankets, packed. I hid most of the grain in my space and left just enough outside to look normal. Same with the department store goods. More than half went into my space. I kept stuffing things into storage while ignoring Zhou Yanshen's mother entirely. By the early morning hours, I'd compressed everything into 7 large bundles. Zhou Yanshen still wasn't back, so I started preparing food for the 3-day train ride. I made several flatbreads, boiled 20 eggs and wrapped them in cloth, cooked salted peanuts and drained them into a bag, packed the pickled vegetables into a big enamel lunchbox, portioned out the restaurant leftovers, put the steamed buns in gauze bags, and rice in another lunchbox. I poured yesterday's soy milk into the new thermos and filled the military canteen with iced sugar water. While I was at it, I used today's gold infusion on 1 braised chicken and got 10 braised chickens back. Tomorrow and the day after, I'd multiply the braised beef, fried fish, and braised pork too. No shortage of good food for the countryside. I couldn't eat it openly, but I could definitely sneak meals on my own. Just as I finished organizing everything, Zhou Yanshen finally came back, sweaty and out of breath. He pulled me into a small room, reached into his pants, and took out several hard objects. Keep these safe. I started to ask where he got them, but he covered my mouth.
Don't ask.
Where we're going, these are worth more than cash. He'd brought small gold bars, silver, yuan dadu coins, and a thick stack of national grain coupons and cloth coupons. In the countryside, these would be more valuable than money. I was genuinely moved. In the original story, the old me and his mother had fought all night, so Zhou Yanshen never had time to go gather these supplies. But because I'd kept things peaceful, he'd spent the entire night quietly preparing for our survival. I nodded. I won't ask. They're safe with me. I stayed up sewing hidden pockets into my underclothes, one in front, one in back. The gold and silver went into my space. The cloth coupons and cash got sewn directly into my clothes, since bills and coupons wasted too many space slots. By dawn, everything was ready. All packed, Zhou Yanshen had barely managed to change into plain clothes and grab a few pieces of clothing for himself. I pointed at the mountain of bundles filling half the room, plus my big medicine chest. Ready. Then we both stepped outside and froze. His mother had assembled her own luggage by the front door. She sat there in an elegant dark qipao, perfectly poised, surrounded by a ridiculous pile. Her camphorwood chest was stuffed with kipeos, high heels, and silk scarves. The gramophone, fine. But she'd also packed a full-sized bathtub, a porcelain teapot, delicate teacups. Yanshen, figure out how to bring all my luggage. The commissar said we could bring extra, didn't he? I stared at the bathtub. You're calling this luggage? Zhou Yanshen's jaw tightened. Mom, we're going for labor reform, not a tea party. We have essential supplies to carry. None of this will fit on the train. He pointed at our own mountain of actually useful gear. His mother glanced at our things with disgust. Why are you bringing all those ugly cotton coats and rubber shoes? I can't use any of that peasant stuff. Without my bathtub, how am I supposed to bathe in the countryside? Then she started crying. I've been waited on my entire life. Now I'm being dragged to some hellhole, and you want me to live like a dirt farmer? I'd rather die. I made my decision instantly. I loaded myself up, medicine chest in my arms, big basket on my back, 2 canteens across my shoulders, bags of food in both hands, and gave Zhou Yanshen a tired, understanding smile. Yanshen, there's too much. I'll carry these ahead and wait at the intersection. Whatever you can't manage from yesterday's shopping. Don't push yourself too hard. Then I walked away without looking back. I wasn't going to be the villain here. If I argued with his mother, it would only put Zhou Yanshen in the middle. Better to let this be a problem between mother and son. And I knew exactly what would happen. Zhou Yanshen would never leave behind the things I'd carefully prepared. Not after realizing I shouldn't be suffering at all, that I was only in this mess because of him. I'd packed everything neatly, prepared 3 days of meals, never complained once. Compare that to his mother throwing a tantrum over a bathtub. Sure enough, he started loading all our practical supplies onto the cart. Then he told his mother firmly, Mom, your keepsakes are your own responsibility. Carry what you can. I need to bring the things we'll actually need. And one more thing, stop telling Wanqing to serve you. She's your daughter-in-law, not a servant. Treat her the way you'd want me treated, or the only person who suffers will be your own son. He finished loading and rushed off after me, not wanting me to carry all that weight alone. His mother stood there sputtering. You ungrateful. I can't carry all this by myself. I was trying to make things easier for you. But he was already gone. She finally grabbed her chest, her gramophone, and a handbag, and wobbled after us, cursing the whole way. We squeezed onto a packed green train, found our hard seat spots, and Zhou Yanshen shoved the big bundles onto the overhead rack and under the seats. We were finally settled. I took the window seat. Zhou Yanshen sat next to me, his mother across from us. In the original novel, this train journey was barely mentioned, just a line about the 3 of them starving for 3 days. So I figured there wouldn't be any drama. I was wrong. The second we sat down, his mother crossed her legs and announced, I'm thirsty. Daughter-in-law, go fetch me hot water, since I took her gold. She clearly expected me to serve her for the rest of my life. Before I could even react, Zhou Yanshen was already on his feet, cane in hand, heading to get water himself. His mother could only silently curse me for bewitching her son in just 2 days. But she didn't dare order me around again. I smiled to myself. That's a good man. He didn't just say he'd protect me. He showed it with action. Some men talk big, but play dumb when their mother starts making demands. That's how marriages fall apart. When he came back from squeezing through the packed train car, I handed him my canteen. You worked so hard carrying all that luggage. Drink some of the sugar water I made for you. He took a big gulp and looked at me with surprise. It was cold and sweet. I smiled at him, and he seemed to straighten up with new energy. His mother looked like she was about to choke on her own rage. Then trouble arrived. An older woman, Auntie Wang, pushed through the crowd to her seat and saw the luggage rack above completely stuffed with our bags. She exploded. Who took up all the space? Where am I supposed to put my things? His mother helpfully pointed at me. I immediately pulled out a boiled egg and a handful of fruit candy and pressed them into the woman's hands. I'm so sorry, Auntie. We're heading to the countryside to serve the nation. It's such a long trip that our family packed a little too much. Please forgive us. Her anger melted instantly. Getting her luggage spot taken, but receiving free eggs and candy? It was like losing a seat but finding 1,000 yuan. Oh, is that all? Building the country is important work. You young folks take what you need. My stuff fits under my feet just fine. I gave her a handful of boiled peanuts too, and we became fast friends. Turned out her daughter was also at the Xinjiang Corps, same place we were going. The daughter was about to give birth, and her in-laws were too cheap to take her to a clinic, so Auntie Wang was making the long trip to help. Childbirth in the countryside was terrifying. If you could deliver, great. If you couldn't, mother and baby both died. Some families drowned baby girls in chamber pots. Abandoning them on doorsteps was considered the humane option. Then a female educated youth squeezed into the seat next to Zhou Yanshen's mother. I offered her an egg, candy, and peanuts too, apologizing for the luggage situation. She took everything, then rolled her eyes. An egg and some candy? You think I'm a beggar? Auntie Wang immediately fired back. If you don't want it, don't take it. They've got more luggage, we've got less. We help each other out. You grabbed their food and you're still complaining? Give it back then. The girls shut up. The train finally started moving, rattling and picking up speed. I let out a breath. We were up all night. Let's eat something quick and get some sleep. Auntie Wang overheard and covered her mouth in shock, staring at Zhou Yanshen. Up all night. She was clearly imagining newlywed activities. She whispered to herself that young men really did have incredible stamina. Her husband back in the day could only manage half an hour. Zhou Yanshen expected something quick to mean maybe a boiled egg. But I pulled out white flour steamed buns stuffed with pickled vegetables and sauerkraut. Then soy milk from the thermos. Then boiled peanuts. He stared at me. How much food had I brought? He'd lived alone so long that being taken care of this thoroughly was almost overwhelming. If it had been just him and his mother, they wouldn't even have eggs right now. Mom, food's here. Help yourself. I gestured toward the spread. Who wants your peasant food? She sniffed and pulled out her own delicate pastries, eating them with exaggerated elegance. Auntie Wang saved her candy for later, but ate the egg right away since it wouldn't keep. Everyone around us was swallowing their saliva watching her. The rude girl was also happily devouring her egg now, not a complaint in sight. I was starving from being up all night. I ate 2 eggs, 2 big buns with pickles, a pile of peanuts, and half a canteen of soy milk. Then I couldn't fight the exhaustion anymore and fell asleep sitting up. I leaned against Zhou Yanshen's shoulder. He sat perfectly straight, letting me rest on him. His presence was so commanding that even sitting still, nobody dared look at him directly. Auntie Wang and the girl both avoided his gaze. He was exhausted too, but he refused to sleep. Too much luggage. He was afraid someone would steal the things I'd worked so hard to prepare. When I woke up at noon, the girl across from me was gnawing on a hard grain cake with hot water. Auntie Wang was eating her own flatbread. You're awake. Zhou Yanshen let out a quiet breath and finally shifted his numb shoulder. You didn't sleep at all? I rubbed my eyes in disbelief. He hadn't moved a muscle the entire time. I'm not tired, he said calmly. Not tired. After hauling supplies all night, running across the city gathering gold and silver, loading a cart, squeezing onto a packed train, and sitting motionless for hours as my human pillow. This man's stamina was truly something else. Hungry? I'll go heat up the food. You rest. Tell me where it is and I'll go. I need to stretch my legs anyway. Zhou Yanshen was already standing up. Really? He was worried about me getting bumped or scalded in the crowded hot water area. I happily handed him 2 aluminum lunchboxes filled with braised chicken and rice from yesterday's restaurant takeout. The moment he squeezed away through the packed aisle, Auntie Wang leaned over with a gossipy grin and gave me a thumbs up. Your man is a treasure. He's so worried about tiring you out. While you were sleeping, he held perfectly still so you could lean comfortably on his shoulder. His arm went completely numb, but he didn't move an inch. The girl across from us watched Zhou Yanshen's broad back disappear into the crowd, blushed, then looked at me with pure jealousy. I waited until I saw Zhou Yanshen's shadow coming back through the crowd, then said loudly on purpose, Of course. My husband always fights to do all the housework. He never lets me lift a finger. Zhou Yanshen heard me praising him as he sat down. His posture got even straighter. I could practically see him mentally noting, must do all the housework, always. His mother snorted with contempt, but she knew better than to try ordering me around when her son was sitting right there. I opened the lunchboxes, and the smell of braised chicken with rice filled the entire car. Every person gnawing on dry flatbread turned to stare. I spooned a piece of chicken onto Auntie Wang's bread and drizzled some sauce over it. Auntie, try a bite. It's not much, don't be polite. She thanked me over and over. Oh my, this sauce makes my bread taste like heaven. Unlike some people who take your food and then complain it's not enough. She shot a look at the girl. Right on cue, the girl swallowed hard and glared at me. Bringing meat on a train, aren't you just trying to make everyone jealous? If you're going to share, share with everyone. You've got so much you can't finish it anyway. Give each of us a piece. Other passengers chimed in. Yeah, showing off meat on a train is pretty inconsiderate. Even some broth would be nice. The girl smugly held out her grain cake, confident I'd feel too embarrassed to refuse. I pulled my lunchbox back and didn't give her a single drop. But I explained to Auntie Wang loud enough for everyone to hear. My husband and I just got married yesterday. We ordered these dishes from the state restaurant for our wedding dinner, but before we could even eat, we got notified to catch this morning's train to the countryside. Who would normally bring this kind of food on a train? We can barely afford to eat it ourselves. Why would we share with ungrateful people? Auntie Wang's eyes went wide with understanding, and she cranked up her volume. Oh, you poor dears. Newlyweds sent to the countryside on your first day. You eat every last bite. Anyone who dares say one more word, I'll give them a piece of my mind. That shut everyone up. The girl went back to chewing her grain cake in silence, tortured by the smell. Mom, time to eat, I called out cheerfully. Zhou Yanshen's mother turned her nose up. Who wants that greasy slop? Yanshen mom doesn't like meat, so let's eat her share too. We dug in. 1 box each, chicken and rice disappearing fast. When the meat was gone, we tore up steamed buns and soaked them in the sauce, cleaning the boxes so thoroughly they barely needed washing. Over the next 2 days, I fed Zhou Yanshen like a prize pig, 3 meals a day for 3 days, 9 meals total. Never the same thing twice. Morning of day 2. Flatbread rolled with pickled vegetables, whole boiled eggs, and slices of braised beef. The egg and beef wrap was incredible. Afternoon. Fried fish with steamed buns, or sweet and sour pork with rice. Every meal, I'd slip Auntie Wang a little something, a handful of peanuts, a piece of fried fish, some sliced beef. Just enough to add flavor to her bread. After 3 days of this, she'd become my fiercest bodyguard. Anyone who even looked at me wrong got an earful from her. The girl had started off complaining, but every time she so much as rolled her eyes, Auntie Wang unleashed a verbal assault. The poor thing couldn't win an argument and couldn't get any food. She just sat there smelling everything, practically coughing up blood from frustration. Zhou Yanshen's mother held out for 2 days on her pastries. By day 3, she looked rough, hair messy, face unwashed, snacks gone. She'd been hungry for a full day, and every time that greasy, fragrant food came out, she started swallowing her saliva. So when I brought out a full box of fried fish, golden, crispy outside, tender white meat inside, smelling absolutely divine, I could see the hunger in her eyes. She was probably thinking, every time this wretched girl offers me food, I refuse. This time, when she offers, I'll reluctantly agree and eat a few pieces. Mom, I know you don't like greasy food, so Yanshen and I will just eat this ourselves. If you're hungry, here's a plain flatbread to hold you over. We're almost at the station. Then Zhou Yanshen and I started eating the fish right in front of her, making appreciative sounds with every bite. She was clenching her teeth, so hard I thought they'd crack. She was starving. She wanted meat. She wanted rice. She wanted to scream. But I never offered. Not once. I won't eat plain flatbread. I want something else. His mother finally broke. She didn't know exactly what we'd bought at the department store, but she knew I'd packed several big bags of food. I put on an apologetic face. Mom, you kept refusing everything for days, so Yanshen and I had to force ourselves to finish it all. The peanuts and sweet potatoes are gone too. The only cooked food left is flatbread. There's other stuff in the luggage up top, but it's impossible to reach. I deliberately buried the canned beef and canned fruit in the deepest, highest bag. The girl, Zhang Yan, was rolling her eyes so hard they might fall out. She was kicking herself. If she'd just been nice to me like Annie Wong, she'd have been getting meat scraps every meal. I don't care. Take out whatever you bought at the department store. His mother slapped the flatbread down in front of me. Auntie Wong gave me a sympathetic look. But before I could respond, Zhou Yanshen picked up the rejected bread. If you don't want it, I do. He ate the whole thing in 5 bites. Mom, you can dig through the luggage yourself if you want something. His mother's jaw dropped. She was too angry to speak, too hungry to fight. Her stomach growled. She couldn't reach the bags on the rack above, so she rummaged under the seat and found a few fruit candies. That became her meal. I leaned against Zhou Yanshen with a timid, wounded look on my face, the perfect picture of a bullied daughter-in-law seeking comfort from her husband. His mother nearly had a stroke. I thought to myself, as long as the husband protects his wife, even the worst mother-in-law can't do real damage. Men who claim to be caught in the middle are just too lazy to stand up for their wives. His mother survived on candy and water until the train finally pulled into the station. Yanshen, we're here. Let's find food immediately. She was so hungry her stomach was touching her spine. At this point, she would have eaten a whole pig. She spotted a state restaurant near the station. But before anyone could move, a man called out to us. You the educated youth heading to Ely? There's a transport bus leaving now. Miss it and you wait until tomorrow. People were already swarming onto the bus. Zhou Yanshen grabbed our luggage and started pushing toward it. No time for food. Mom, get on first. We'll eat later. His mother clutched her camphorwood chest and gramophone and squeezed aboard. Without an introduction letter, we'd have nowhere to sleep if we missed this ride. There was no such thing as passenger limits in this era. A 35-seat bus had over 50 people crammed in, everyone carrying mountains of luggage. I was pressed into a corner, unable to move, hugging 3 or 4 bags with more piled at my feet. The 3 of us had only 2 seats between us. This is worse than rush hour on the Shenzhen Metro Line 1. I muttered. July heat, no ventilation. Within minutes the bus reeked of sweat and body odor. At least Zhou Yanshen smelled like clean soap, which helped. His mother got the worst seat, right on the edge, with her chest and gramophones stacked above her. And directly in front of her face was a big man's armpit, broadcasting the most aggressive body odor I'd ever encountered. She gagged. Comrade, could you please move? Your smell is very strong. The man was wedged in tight, luggage at his feet, people pressing from every side. Sorry, comrade.
Can't move.
It's hot, can't help it. Just breathe through it, you'll get used to it. I bit my lip trying not to laugh. What a line. His mother poked Zhou Yanshen desperately. Tell your wife to sit on your lap. Make room for me. Zhou Yanshen's face went red instantly. I could tell he was tempted, but he put on his proper gentleman act. Wouldn't that look inappropriate? She's your wife. What's inappropriate? Squeeze together, you're young, so I, reluctantly, sat on Zhou Yanshen's lap. The moment I settled, he went completely rigid. My weight, my warmth, my scent, my breath on his face, everything hit him at once. My heart was pounding too. First time sitting on a man built like a Greek statue. His thighs were solid muscle, his chest was like a wall, his jawline could cut glass. Dangerously handsome. The bus hit a big pothole. He lurched backward, and I crashed into his rock-hard chest. Ow, I said softly. His hand hovered in the air for 2 seconds. Then those strong-veined hands wrapped around me and pulled me close. This way you won't get tossed around. Neither of us could look at each other. He stared up at the ceiling. I stared down at my lap. But the whole ride felt magical, like the scenery outside was moving just for us. His mother, meanwhile, spent the entire journey with a stranger's armpit 2 inches from her nose. Hungry, exhausted, and nauseated. When the bus finally stopped, she stumbled off and immediately threw up. The remote northwestern county we arrived at was barren, dusty, and desolate. His mother nearly fainted at the sight. You're saying we still need to take a dirty ox cart another 15 kilometers to the regiment? This isn't even the countryside yet. Annie Wong had already stripped off her outer jacket in the heat and was waving at an approaching ox cart in the distance. That's the cart sent by the regiment secretary to pick up the educated youth. If we don't ride it, we walk. His mother crossed her arms. I am not getting on that filthy ox cart. Yanshen, find me a proper vehicle. Even a rickshaw will do. She'd been pampered her entire life. Even during the hardest political times, she'd ridden liberation trucks. An ox cart was beneath her. Our group of newcomers was tiny. Just me, Zhou Yanshen, his mother, the girl Zhang Yan, and Auntie Wang visiting her daughter. 5 people total. Zhang Yan rolled her eyes at Zhou Yanshen's mother's complaints. If you don't want to ride, we will. Having an ox cart at all is a luxury. Zhou Yanshen spoke quietly. Mom, there's nothing else out here. It's the ox cart or walking, his mother grudgingly agreed.
Fini.
The ox cart, but then we couldn't ride it anyway. The old driver rushed over in a panic. Are you the new educated youth? You'll have to walk. It's not far. I need to get to the clinic. Our regiment secretarially collapsed. Looks like heat stroke. He pointed at the man lying in the ox cart, middle-aged, wearing a worn red tank top, face deathly white. My heart nearly stopped. I remembered this scene from the novel. In the original story, the old me heard it was the regiment secretary and tried to help, hoping to earn goodwill. She believed the heat stroke diagnosis and used the wrong treatment, pinching pressure points and bloodletting. That delayed the real treatment, and Secretary Lee died of acute myocardial infarction before reaching the clinic. The original me was branded a killer of a good cadre on her very first day. The entire village hated her, and she lost the medical position that was supposed to be assigned to her. My cousin had deliberately designed this as a guaranteed death scenario to destroy the original me's reputation. But I wasn't going to let this man die. Setting aside the plot manipulation, this was a real, living person, a good man, dying right in front of me. I couldn't stand by and do nothing. And practically speaking, saving him was the key to establishing myself in this village. I scanned his symptoms. Ashen face, drenched in sweat, struggling to breathe. Combined with what I knew from the original plot, this was definitely a heart attack, not heat stroke. Meanwhile, his mother was sobbing behind us, clutching her chest and gramophone. 15 kilometers? Walk. Carrying all this? Just let me die. The old driver ignored her and snapped his reins to leave. Wait, I stepped forward. Sir, your secretary doesn't have heat stroke. He's having a heart attack. It's extremely critical. Let me do emergency treatment right now. If you take him to the clinic like this, he won't make it. I wasn't exaggerating. In this era, there were no stents. The only option was medication to prevent the blood clot from spreading. At the rate Secretary Lee was deteriorating, he had hours at most. The old man panicked. That's serious? Secretary Lee did mention we were getting a medic with this batch. Can you actually treat him? His mother jumped in, grabbing the driver's arm. My daughter-in-law is a doctor. The best doctor. She can cure anything. Let her look at him right now. She just wanted the ox cart available, so she could ride it. Zhou Yanshen frowned and pulled his mother back.
He leaned down to me.
We just got here. Maybe it's safer to let them take him to the clinic. He was worried I'd mess it up and get blamed. In the original story, the male lead had given the same warning, and the old me had ignored him. But I wasn't her. I smiled at him.
Trust me.
I know what I'm doing. I was already at the cart, checking Secretary Lee's pupils and carotid pulse. My diagnosis was confirmed. This was cardiac, not heat-related. This is not heat stroke. It's his heart. Moving him right now is extremely dangerous. The old driver thumped his chest nervously. I don't know about any of that. I was just told to take him to the clinic. I opened my medicine chest and pulled out my silver acupuncture needles, the ones I'd soaked in enhanced spirit spring water. That was the key detail. Enhanced spirit spring. My hands flew. I called out each acupuncture point as I worked, needles flicking into positions so fast they looked like they were being thrown. In seconds, Secretary Lee's body was covered in silver needles. Everyone stared with their mouths open. The old driver muttered, "Well, I'll be. She really is a doctor." Now, to be honest, for acute myocardial infarction, Western medicine is faster. The priority is restoring blood flow to the heart muscle. Traditional Chinese medicine is usually better for recovery afterward. But my secret weapon was the enhanced spirit spring water. That's what gave me confidence. After a few moments, Secretary Lee's breathing steadied slightly. I immediately gave him a drink of enhanced spirit spring water. Within 15 seconds, his eyes fluttered open. He's awake. Secretary Lee is awake. The old driver was beside himself with joy. Auntie Wang slapped her thigh so hard it echoed. Good heavens, girl. You really are a doctor? That was like watching a miracle. I smiled. I know a thing or two. Auntie, your daughter is at the core too, right? If she needs help during her delivery or has any health issues and the clinic is too far, come find me. Oh yes. Thank you so much. Secretary Lee coughed weakly. The old driver excitedly explained everything to him. After hearing it all, Secretary Lee managed a feeble smile. Thank you, Comrade Sue. Old Zhang, since I'm already awake, there's nothing to worry about. Just take these new youth to their quarters. Skip the clinic, I've got a pile of work waiting. I stared at him. Sir, you just had a heart attack. You literally just regained consciousness and you want to go back to work? A total workaholic, this man. Secretary Lee, your condition is life-threatening. I only stabilized you temporarily. You still need proper hospital treatment. Let me ride with you to the clinic first, then old Zhang can bring the cart back for the others. It won't take long. I explained what a heart attack actually was. Once he understood how serious it was, he agreed to go. Though I could tell he was suspicious. Maybe this newcomer was exaggerating just to earn his gratitude? If the clinic doctor said it was nothing, he'd know my motives were bad. Zhou Yanshen piled all 7 or 8 bags at his feet.
Go.
We'll wait here. He clearly wanted to come with me but couldn't leave our mountain of luggage unguarded. His mother calmed down once she heard the ox cart would come back for them. She found a shady tree and immediately started digging through the bags for food. At the clinic, I introduced myself and explained the situation to the doctor using proper medical terminology, recommended specific tests, then rode back with old Zhang to pick up Zhou Yanshen and the others. The doctor immediately understood the severity and ran detailed examinations. After treatment, Secretary Lee was feeling much better and was already asking when he could leave. My regiment is in a terrible drought. We need to dig irrigation channels and rush the harvest. The doctor nearly exploded. No big deal? Look at your cardiac enzyme levels. They're several times above normal. Look at your EKG. You went around the gates of death multiple times. If that woman hadn't known what she was doing and needled you on the spot to relieve the vascular spasm, you wouldn't have survived the bumpy ride here. One bad jolt, and you'd have been dead. Secretary Lee was stunned. He'd felt terrible at the time, but he had no idea it was that close. At least half a month of hospitalization. Absolute bed rest. Work never ends, but you only get one life. Secretary Li sank back into his pillow, guilt washing over him. That young woman had truly saved his life, and he'd been questioning her motives. Just then, his protégé Lu Shuqing burst through the door in a panic. "Master, old Zhang said you collapsed, that it was life-threatening." Secretary Li waved him down. "I'm fine now. Listen, go back to the village immediately. The new educated youth family that just arrived, move them from the old earth house to a new one. And that comrade Su, doesn't our regiment still have an open medic position? He wasn't just repaying a debt. A doctor this skilled needed to be kept close." Lu Shuqing's jaw dropped at all these special arrangements. Then it clicked. This was the secretary's savior. He pedaled his bicycle back, so fast the wheels practically threw sparks. In his mind, Comrade Zhou Yanshen was his benefactor too. If Secretary Li had died, his own career path would have ended. Meanwhile, something strange was happening in my head. My space kept pinging with notifications. "You saved a person destined to die. This person will go on to benefit many people. Merit Power 100 received. Required a tribute for space upgrades. Congratulations. Gold infusion charges 1. So saving lives earned Merit Power? And upgrading the space needed more than just gold and silver? This Rubik's Cube space had layers I hadn't expected. The ox cart creaked and wobbled its way to Regiment 65's educated youth settlement. A few rows of squat mud brick houses sat scattered across yellow dirt. Desolate didn't begin to describe it. Auntie Wang headed off to find her daughter. She'd been here once for the wedding and knew the way. Zhou Yanshen's mother dropped her leather suitcase with a crash and pointed at the mud houses, voice shrill. "You expect us to live in this? This is fit for humans?" The houses didn't even have proper windows. Just dirt and dust everywhere. I was stunned too. These were worse than the most rundown places on those reality TV shows. It was afternoon, and the other educated youth were just coming back from the fields. Hearing his mother's outburst, they all shot us unfriendly looks. The youth team leader, Tian Dahua, a dark-skinned, solidly built woman, walked over with a tattered notebook. No expression on her face. New arrivals? Su Wanqing, Zhou Yanshen, Ding Guixiang's family, and Zhang Yan. She glanced at her list, then at Zhou Yanshen's mother's completely out-of-place appearance. Her tone was flat and hard. "Your family gets that empty house over there." She pointed at the most decrepit one in the corner. "Zhang Yan, you're added to this room." She pointed at another house already holding 3 women. The 3 existing girls groaned and went inside to rearrange their things. Zhou Yanshen ducked inside our assigned room, came back out frowning. "Comrade, the 3 of us sharing one room is a bit inconvenient. Is there any way to?" It wasn't that he just wanted to share a bed with me. He couldn't really do anything anyway with his condition. The real issue was that putting his mother and me on the same sleeping platform guaranteed a fight before midnight. Plus the walls had cracks in them. Not safe. Tian Dahua snorted. "Every room here has a 4-person Kong. 3 of you in one room is already a luxury. Otherwise I can put you in the men's dormitory and send both women to the women's dorm. Your choice." Tian Dahua handed over the registration book. "Hurry up and pick, then sign. New arrivals get an advance on rations, 10 gene of fine grain and 30 gene of coarse grain, deducted from your work points after the autumn harvest. Meals are communal. Everyone contributes grain and takes turns cooking. The youth settlement grows its own vegetables, either hand over grain coupons or don't eat." She laid out the daily schedule. The regiment mainly grew corn and spring wheat, plus side jobs. July's drought was so bad that Secretary Li had canceled morning drills, afternoon military training, and political study sessions. Instead, everyone spent all day digging irrigation channels. New arrivals had to work the fields during the day. Men did extra water-carrying shifts. Women did seedling thinning and weeding. There were also side tasks like picking fruit in the orchard, harvesting hops, or feeding the pigs and chickens. Normally, there'd also be morning group runs, mouse study sessions after farm work, evening military drills, and squad meetings. I almost choked. This schedule was brutal. Thank God for the drought canceling half of it. Every waking hour was now dedicated to digging water channels. "Welcome to countryside reform." Zhang Yan piped up immediately. Team Leader Tian, I'm great at picking fruit. Put me on fruit duty. Fewer work points, sure, but you could sneak bites. She thought she was being clever. Tian Dahua smirked.
Fine.
Fruit picking for you. What about you two? Zhou Yanshen's mother exploded. Every single option sounded exhausting. Work all day and weed at night? In this sun? And this house? She pointed at the crumbling mud shack. People can live in this? You have to duck to get inside. The roof could collapse. She thought countryside reform just meant living somewhere less nice. Move from a big house to a small one, she could handle that. But actual farm labor every single day with no rest, in a mud hut that might fall on her head? Absolutely not. I was frowning too. I'd expected at least a brick house I could fix up with newspaper and felt lining. This place needed to be demolished and rebuilt from scratch. Xinjiang core life was starting on nightmare difficulty. Tian Dahua picked at her vegetable leaves calmly. You're here now. Don't want to work? Fine, no work points. When autumn harvest comes and there's no grain for you, don't say I didn't warn you. Keep making trouble and it becomes a thought problem. Resisting reform. You know what happens then. Several veteran educated youth gathered around, mocking us. Still think you're in the city? You're here to learn from the poor peasants. We've lived in these houses for years. What's wrong with them? That one with the limp doesn't look like he can do any work. Just dead weight for our quotas. Zhou Yanshen quietly stepped in front of me and his mother, shielding us. His posture was straight, his presence commanding even with the cane. He swept his calm gaze across the crowd, then addressed Tian Dahua directly. Comrade, we came here to answer the call, to be tempered through labor, to contribute to socialist construction. We're not afraid of hard conditions. We accept reform willingly, but reform requires basic safety. This house has cracked walls and could collapse at any time. If something happens to us inside, who takes responsibility? Here's what I propose. We'll temporarily follow the arrangement and move in. But I'll immediately file a report with the regiment, requesting permission to build a brick house on nearby empty land during our rest time. We'll pay for all materials ourselves, use no collective resources, and it won't affect daytime work. The organization and comrades can supervise. Then he leaned toward me, voice low, almost apologetic. Wan Qing, I'm sorry, you and Mom will have to put up with this old house for a few days. Is that all right? I looked up at him with shining eyes. Handsome. So handsome. This was my man. No matter what problem came up, he stepped forward immediately with a plan. Responsible, capable, and calm under pressure. A man's maturity isn't measured by age. It's measured by how he handles problems. I nodded. Okay, we'll do it your way. A few days is fine. Right then, a voice came shouting from the distance, getting closer fast.
Wait.
There's been a mistake. Team Leader Tian. Everyone turned. Lu Shuqing, Secretary Li's deputy, skidded to a stop on his bicycle, forehead dripping with sweat. Tian Dahua blinked. Cadre Lu, what mistake? Lu Shuqing caught his breath and pointed at the crumbling mud house. How can you put comrades Zhou Yanshen's family in there? Secretary Li specifically ordered that they get one of the new brick houses. Dead silence. Every single educated youth stared at us with their mouths hanging open. Those new red brick houses were the settlement's crown jewels. Only 4 of them, just built, with slots assigned last week to youth with outstanding contributions or those getting married. Everyone had been eyeing them desperately. Tian Dahua's face changed.
Why?
Those slots are already given out. One of them was supposed to be hers. Her wedding house. She was marrying Ertsuzi next month. She'd slaved away here for 5 years as the youth team leader, glorified babysitter, really, dealing with everyone's problems for barely any extra work points. The brick house was the one thing she'd been working toward. Lu Shuqing cut her off, making sure his voice carried to every person present. Team Leader Tian, you clearly haven't heard. Comrade Zhou Yanshen is a highly skilled doctor. On the road just now, Secretary Li had a sudden heart attack. He was on the verge of death. Comrade Zhou Yanshen saved his life with acupuncture, pulled him right back from the brink. She's our regiment's only medic now. On top of that, she's a newlywed who volunteered to come support frontier construction. By every measure, She deserves special consideration. These are Secretary Li's direct orders. The news hit like a bomb. Everyone went silent. Doctor? Saved Secretary Li's life? The regiment's only medic? The mood shifted instantly. If she's saved Secretary Li, I've got no problem with her getting a brick house. That man saved me from starving years ago, Secretary. Li's always looked after us educated youth, fair enough. Having a doctor right here means we don't have to trek to the county clinic for every headache. She deserves the brick house. The same people who'd been mocking us seconds ago completely changed their tune. Tian Dahua was the only one still looking upset until Lu Shuqing quietly told her, "Relax, it's not your house." Chen Weidong never showed up to report, so the regiment canceled his slot. She let out a breath and smiled. Then I've got no objection. Chen Weidong. That name rang a bell. In the original novel, he was the educated youth the old me had cheated with, the one with connections who helped her get back to the city, and the one who turned out to be a wife-beater. Lu Shuqing smiled warmly at us. Comrade Su, Comrade Zhou, and ma'am, follow me. I'll take you to your new house. I'd made the right call saving Secretary Li. The novel had mentioned that if not for the original me's misdiagnosis, Li would have risen to an important leadership position within years. He was capable and smart, and now he was using those skills to help us. Under everyone's jealous stares, we followed Lu Shuqing to the row of new red brick houses. Zhang Yan stomped her foot bitterly as she carried her things into the cramped mud room. Why did they get the good house? The brick house was genuinely nice. Tiled roof, a glass window, a big heated Kong sleeping platform, brick flooring. About 15 square meters. Empty, but clean. Nothing like the military compound, but for a countryside settlement, this was luxury. I was very satisfied. Lu Shuqing helped carry in our luggage, gave us the key, and had Tian Dahua bring over our borrowed rations, a bag of corn flour, a bag of sorghum, and 10 jin of sweet potatoes. He explained that this entire frontier had been built from nothing by military divisions and their families over the past decade or more. Conditions were tough, but improving. Tonight you can rest and settle in. Starting tomorrow, you'll need to pick your work assignments. He described the options. His mother started crying before he even finished. She couldn't do any of this. She'd rather die. I pulled a big handful of candy from my pocket and pressed it into Lu Shuqing's hands. Cadre Lu, my mother-in-law is older, and her only skills are reading and writing. Is there anything suitable for her? He tried to refuse the candy, but took it eventually. He would have helped anyway because of Secretary Li, but the gesture didn't hurt. Since she just arrived and can't handle physical labor, how about the logistics office? Registering and distributing work supplies, keeping an eye on the warehouse. It's the lightest job, 6 work points a day. That cushy assignment normally went to people with connections.
Perfect.
I turned to his mother. Mom, does that sound okay? In the original story, she'd refused to do anything, no farming, no pig feeding. She just hid in the house being lazy, forcing Zhou Yanshen to do double shifts and the original me to pick up the slack too. Not on my watch. 6 work points kept her busy and out of my hair. An idle mother-in-law was a troublemaking mother-in-law. She looked like she'd swallowed a lemon. Before she could protest, Zhou Yanshen grabbed Lu Shuqing's hand. Thank you, comrade. My mother is very happy with this arrangement. She opened her mouth, closed it, and gave up. At least warehouse duty wouldn't be backbreaking. Lu Shuqing turned to me. Comrade Su, report to the health prevention station tomorrow. It's 2 mud rooms. You'll be treating people for basic illnesses, but also handling livestock, checking on the animals, helping with simple veterinary cases, even assisting with pig and sheep births when needed. We'll file a request for medical supplies tomorrow. So, I was the doctor for both humans and animals. And midwife for pigs. No problem. I actually know a thing or two about livestock. If any boars need castrating, I'm handy with that too. Zhou Yanshen visibly flinched, and his hand drifted protectively downward. His wife could apparently do everything. He made a mental note to never make me angry. Lu Shuqing beamed. Comrade Su, you're incredible. Our whole regiment is counting on you. After he left, Zhou Yanshen walked him out. The moment he was gone, his mother dropped her suitcase and gramophone on the floor, plopped onto the Kong without caring about the dirt, and started issuing orders. Daughter-in-law, my feet are so swollen I can't move. I'm starving and parched. Boil some water and make me food. I need a bath too, I'm all sticky. Why didn't you let me bring my bathtub? How am I supposed to wash in this filthy place? She'd been waiting for Zhou Yanshen to leave, so she could finally boss me around. That was the whole reason she'd fought against the divorce. She needed someone to serve her. The room went quiet for a moment. I smiled obediently. Of course, Mom. I stood up and dug a water kettle out of the luggage. Right on cue, I ran into Zhou Yanshen coming back in. I said sweetly, "You've been working so hard too. You must be thirsty and hungry. Let me boil some water and throw something together. We should feed Mom before she starves." Zhou Yanshen glanced at his mother lounging on the Kong and instantly understood she'd been ordering me around the second his back was turned. His brow furrowed. "Mom, Wanqing has been exhausted all day too. From now on, I'll handle the housework." He took the kettle from my hands. "Wanqing, you've done enough today.
Go rest.
I'll clean up the house, unpack the luggage, and take care of everything." His mother watched her own son defend me and do the housework himself. Her chest was heaving with anger. Then Zhou Yanshen turned to her. "If it weren't for Wanqing, we'd be sleeping in that collapsing mud shack tonight, and you wouldn't have gotten such an easy job. I think you should properly thank her. Don't you agree, Mother?" She pursed her lips. She thought about that dusty, crumbling ruin. Finally, she sat up straight. "You're right.
Thank you, daughter-in-law.
Today was all thanks to you." Zhou Yanshen added solemnly. "Thank you, Comrade Su Wanqing. We owe you a great deal today." I liked this about him. Even with family, he believed in respect and sincere gratitude. "No need to thank me. We're family, it's what I should do." I smiled, and for a moment, all the effort I'd put into preparing for the countryside felt completely worth it. His mother huffed, grabbed her small bundle, and left to go find locals to buy things and ask about getting wood to make herself a bathtub. Zhou Yanshen had said he'd handle everything, and he meant it. He rolled up his sleeves and got to work. Men really are better at housework, stronger, faster, more efficient. He swept and scrubbed the room spotless in no time, wiping down every surface until it gleamed. The heavy luggage was where I stepped in. Couldn't let him see what was actually inside those bags. Space inventory management was my department. After cleaning, he found a piece of cloth and rigged up a simple curtain as a window cover. Then he hung a divider down the middle of the Kong, setting up his mother's sleeping area on one side. "Wanqing, this curtain will do for now. Once I find proper materials, I'll build a partition wall. Then we'll have more privacy." I blinked at him innocently. Privacy for what? He froze. He'd meant separating us from his mother. Nothing else. Definitely not anything else.
Well,
maybe once he was healed. I held back my laugh. "You're right, privacy would be convenient for certain things. Like finally getting my hands on those rock-hard chest muscles." He coughed and said nothing. Then he mixed old newspaper with paste and carefully covered all the walls around the Kong and anywhere dirt might fall. Clean and neat. He pushed 2 old wooden crates together, draped cloth over them to make a table. Arranged the wash basin, thermos, and odds and ends against the wall to maximize floor space. I unpacked the kitchenware, laid out the bedding, stacked the extras, and hid all the food that couldn't be seen inside the wooden crates. When we stepped back and looked, the bare room had been transformed into something cozy and organized, simple but warm. Zhou Yanshen surveyed it all. "This will do for now. Give me a few days, and I'll find lumber to build a proper table and 2 chairs. That's when Zhang Yan shoved our door open without knocking. Her jaw nearly hit the floor. Bright, clean, organized, stocked with supplies. She couldn't believe it was the same empty room from an hour ago. "Who said you could walk in without knocking?" I snapped and pushed her back out. Thank goodness the food was hidden in the crates behind the curtain. We needed a better lock. Tian Dahua sent me to ask if you're eating with everyone and to collect your grain contribution, she muttered, staring enviously around the room. Her mudroom shared by 4 people was barely 6 or 7 square meters. Walls crumbling, Kong covered in dust, dark as a cave. Nothing like our bright brick room with its glass window. We'll skip dinner tonight. And next time, knock first. Barging in uninvited is no different from being a thief. Who'd want to come in here anyway? Everyone just opens doors where I'm from. You're so uptight. She slammed the door on her way out. Once she was gone, I locked the door and turned to Zhou Yanshen. We brought pots, pans, bowls, everything. What if we build a small cooking stove outside and make our own meals instead of eating the communal food? I'd caught a glimpse of the communal dinner earlier. Cornflour paste, blackish steamed buns, and boiled cabbage. If I had nothing else, fine. But my space was bursting with good food. Over the past few days on the train, I'd been using the daily gold infusion nonstop. 10 portions of fried fish, 10 portions of braised beef, 10 each of braised pork and pork knuckle. Tomorrow I'd multiply the eggs and everything else. I had enough gourmet food to last months. Why would I eat corn mush? Cooking privately also meant I could sneak space food onto our plates without anyone noticing. Cooking ourselves is nice, Zhou Yanshen said thoughtfully. But won't it be too much work for you? You'll be at the clinic all day. My job is the easiest one here. I'll have plenty of time. I just want you to eat well. You're digging channels all day. Heavy labor like that needs real nutrition, not watered-down porridge. Your body will break down. A total lie. He was the male lead with superhuman stamina. But I needed the excuse to cook for myself. His expression softened.
All right.
I'll go find stones and bricks right now to build the stove. I beamed at him. You're amazing, Yanshen. You can build furniture, set up a room, and now a stove too? I'm so useless compared to you. Can't do any of this. I'm so lucky to have you. It's nothing. He walked away, and minutes later came back carrying a massive pile of rocks on his shoulders. I stared. Did I give this donkey too much motivational sugar? The noise attracted curious, educated youth from nearby. What are they doing? Building their own stove. Looks like it. Too good for our communal food, huh? Setting up a private kitchen, Zhang Yan was already inside her room, distributing the fruit candy I'd given her on the train to her 3 roommates, gossiping about us. On the train they were eating braised beef and braised pork the whole time, and fried fish from the state restaurant, so crispy and tender. They ate it right in front of me and didn't share a single bite. The other girls ate up the gossip with wide eyes. Meanwhile, I pulled 2 jeans of dried red dates from my space, wrapped them in a cloth bag, and went to find team leader Tian Dahua. Time to build some goodwill. Tian Dahua was organizing the evening work assignments when I walked up. She didn't look thrilled to see me. Team leader Tian, I need to let you know we'd like to build our own stove and cook separately instead of eating the communal meals. Her brow wrinkled. She was about to lecture me about collectivism, but I cut her off. Honestly, the communal meals would be easier, saves us from gathering our own firewood. But my mother-in-law has an embarrassing contagious condition. It's nothing serious, but if you don't mind, we could still eat with everyone. The second she heard, contagious, Tian Dahua waved her hands frantically.
Gamratsu.
You go right ahead and cook separately. Special circumstances, special measures. My voice had been just loud enough for the nearby educated youth to hear. They all took several steps back. We fully support you cooking on your own. Absolutely. Your own cooking will suit your tastes better. His mother actually did have a stubborn case of athlete's foot, so technically, I wasn't lying. Just letting her take one for the team with a slightly worse reputation. She couldn't stomach the communal food anyway. Zhang Yan, who'd been thinking about snooping around our house again, immediately abandoned that plan. Didn't want to catch anything. Our stove isn't built yet, though. No problem. Just use the communal kitchen at off hours. I relaxed and handed over the bag of red dates. Team leader, we just arrived and haven't grown any vegetables. Could I trade these dates for whatever's growing right now? Anything is fine. Tian Dahua squeezed the bag, solid, heavy dates, and her expression warmed up considerably. Of course. The cabbage and radishes are coming in nicely. I'll grab you a couple heads of cabbage and pull some radishes. She grew the settlement's vegetables herself and kept the grain and cloth coupons she collected as her own earnings. So this big bag of dates was basically a nice bonus. Fair deal. My test run was successful. I headed back to the house. Then I used today's gold infusion, The bonus charge from saving Secretary Li on all the fabric in my space. 10 times return. Instantly, over a dozen bolts of cloth in various colors appeared in my space. One bolt was worth 55 yuan. Combined with what I'd bought at the black market, my textile wealth had just exploded. I wouldn't run short of cloth for a long time, and I could trade it anywhere for whatever I needed. I casually carried out one bolt of dark blue work cloth. It was like setting off a bomb in the settlement. Educated youth swarmed over, buzzing with excitement. Is that work cloth? So thick. That's the good stuff. 50 cents a foot plus a cloth coupon at the county supply co-op, and they're always sold out. A whole new bolt? 10 zhong, 100 feet? Where did this newcomer get so much? I faced their curious stares calmly. Don't misunderstand. This is from our wedding. Our families pooled money to buy fabric, so everyone could get new outfits. Then the transfer orders came before we could sew anything. We just arrived with nothing to eat, and my mother-in-law needs fine grain for her health. We have no choice but to trade the cloth for food. Perfectly reasonable. Nobody could argue with that. Tian Dahua's eyes lit up. She rushed forward and felt the fabric. She was getting married next month to a man called Suzy and still didn't have enough cloth coupons for wedding clothes. This was a dream come true. I offered a fair price, same as the supply co-op, but no coupons required. 50 cents a foot, traded for equal value in grain. Sound good? Yes. Absolutely. She practically ran to her room and came back with 5 jin of fine white flour and 4 jin of white rice, exchanging them for 10 feet of cloth. White rice was pricier out here in the northwest. Once the others saw Tian Dahua go first, they lined up. Everyone had been hoarding fine grain they couldn't bring themselves to eat. Now they were trading it for quality fabric, no coupons needed. Some swapped millet for enough cloth to make durable pants. Others traded soybeans or white rice. In no time, I'd exchanged about 30 feet of cloth for a nice pile of fine grain and sweet potatoes. Tian Dahua eyed the remaining fabric. Wanqing, are you still trading? If so, let me take you to my future in-laws, the Zhang family. They're one of the best-off households in Regiment 65. Lots of workers, plenty of surplus grain. Plus, we're getting married next month and desperately need fabric for new bedding and clothes. My eyes lit up. Team leader Tian, that would be wonderful. Thank you so much. I called out to Zhou Yanshen, who was covered in mud from building the stove. I'm going to trade some more cloth for supplies. He stood up quickly. Should I come with you? No. Stay and finish the stove. I want it ready so we can cook tomorrow. All right. Be careful. Tian Dahua led me to a spacious courtyard on the east side of the village. She called out for Auntie Zhang, and a neat, friendly-looking middle-aged woman came out smiling. Dahua.
Come in.
And who's this? Annie, this is Comrade Su Wanqing, a new educated youth. She needs to trade this work cloth for fine grain and food. No coupons needed. Annie Zhang's eyes went straight to the bolt in my arms. She felt the fabric and nodded approvingly. This is excellent quality. Looks like it's from a big city. Her smile grew even warmer. Perfect timing. With your wedding to Suzy next month, I was just thinking the whole family should get new outfits to celebrate. And if this cloth doesn't need coupons, we can save those coupons for your wedding quilt covers and bed sheets instead. Tian Dahua was thrilled. Her future mother-in-law had said there weren't enough cloth coupons for a proper wedding quilt cover, but now my fabric solved everything. I pulled out the remaining few dozen feet of cloth. Auntie Zhang calculated the value, then disappeared into the house. She came back with 15 jin of white rice, 20 jin of fine flour, a small jar of homemade pickled vegetables, 30 eggs, and a huge chunk of smoked meat. Then she had her son haul up a full basket from the cellar, cabbage, sweet potatoes, fresh spinach, and big radishes. Is this enough, Comrade Su? I can add more if you need. More than enough. You've been incredibly generous. I looked at the pile on the ground and nearly teared up with happiness. These were exactly the kinds of supplies I couldn't pull from my space without raising suspicion, but desperately needed as cover. Auntie Zhang was a generous woman. 6 sons, plenty of workers. Eldest son married and working in the county town. Second son engaged to the hard-working Tian Dahua. She could afford to be gracious. Her second son, Ertsuzi, a big, honest-looking guy, grinned shyly and grabbed a carrying pole. Dahua, Comrade Su, this stuff is heavy. Let me carry it back for you. Tian Dahua blushed like a girl half her age and quietly nodded. Walking back, I felt like a giant light bulb watching the two of them steal glances at each other. Fortunately, the moment we reached the settlement, Zhou Yanshen was already striding toward us with his cane, looking protective and slightly worried. He checked me over with his eyes, positioning himself between me and everyone else. I gave him a reassuring look, and he relaxed. These are the things I traded for, Yanshen. He lifted the 100-gene-plus basket with both hands like it weighed nothing. Ertsuzi stared with his mouth open. He'd been struggling with that load on a shoulder pole the whole way. I hid my laugh behind my hand. 2 peacocks showing off their feathers. As the mountain of rice, flour, smoked meat, eggs, and vegetables passed through the settlement and disappeared into our house, the whole place buzzed again. Everyone saw it clearly. One bolt of cloth had bought us more food than most families here had. We were suddenly the richest household in the entire youth settlement. Zhang Yan was green with jealousy. She'd thought we'd all suffer equally in the countryside, but here we were, living better than city folk. She was so envious, she almost wanted to risk the contagious disease just to get inside our house for a look. I breathed easy. Now all the rice, flour, meat, and eggs from my space had a legitimate cover story whenever I brought them out. Oh, I traded cloth for those. Simple. This was exactly why I'd bought so much work cloth at the department store. In the countryside, fabric was hard currency. It could buy anything. After the other educated youth finished their watery dinner and left for evening canal-digging duty, I borrowed the communal kitchen. I sliced some of the fresh cabbage, added a little sauerkraut, and a thin piece of smoked meat, just a sliver since I wanted to multiply it by 10 first, then tossed in glass noodles and rice, poured braised pork knuckle sauce over everything, and made a big pot of braised cabbage rice. The rice soaked up all the rich, savory juices. Smelled incredible. I also whisked 3 eggs in boiling water with dried shrimp and salt, a quick egg drop soup that was so savory it could make your teeth fall out. Dinner. Coming. Zhou Yanshen had been smelling it from the stove and could barely wait. We each got a huge bowl. His mother had just gotten back from wandering the village trying to buy things. She was so starving she didn't complain about grease or anything else, just shoveled food into her mouth. Between bites, she couldn't help bragging. This backwater place, I couldn't even spend my money. Finally found some families willing to trade. Got some eggs and wood planks. At least we'll have eggs every day now. She'd been paying 10 cents per egg. The locals probably thought she was crazy. But she had cash and they didn't want it, they wanted cloth and coupons. Then she noticed the room was packed floor to ceiling with rice, flour, eggs, and vegetables. She froze. Zhou Yanshen explained. Wanqing traded cloth for all of it. She snorted. Those peasants don't want money but go crazy over rough fabric. She dropped the subject and started ordering Zhou Yanshen around. Build me a bathtub with that wood. I can't stand being sticky anymore. He told her he'd make the table and chairs first, then see what else was needed. A bathtub was on the list too. I'd need one as well. For once, dinner was peaceful. Zhou Yanshen scraped the pot clean. His mother threw down her chopsticks and climbed straight onto the Kong to sleep. You rest, Wanqing. I'll clean up. Thank you, Yanshen. He washed the dishes and went back outside. After 3 days of barely sleeping on the train, I wiped myself down with a hot towel, crawled onto the Kong, and was out instantly. Sometime in the middle of the night, I half woke to the faint scent of soap, clean, masculine, calming. I instinctively scooted closer. A pair of large hands settled hesitantly on my waist. They rested there, still and warm. I nestled deeper into the warmth. The hands tensed slightly. His breathing was hot against my ear. I mumbled something and rolled over, curling up with my back against him. My soft body pressed against his, and I could feel his entire frame go rigid. He wanted to, but he couldn't. Not yet. Zhou Yanshen let out a long, quiet sigh. When was he going to heal? Why did his whole body feel so restless? Meanwhile, back in Bincheng, at my uncle's house.
What did you say?
That wretched girl Zhou Yanshen and the whole Zhou family got sent to the countryside. While I was settling into countryside life, things were falling apart back in Bincheng. My uncle's wife was gloating about our exile, busy slicing up half a pig that director had sent over as a gift. Good thing our Lingshan married the bureau director. Look at all this meat. That Zhou boy was always bad luck. My uncle was still fuming about the gold. Where did that wretched girl hide it? We're her closest family, and she won't even share with us. They started plotting, maybe send Yaozu to the countryside to deliver some supplies, trick me into handing over the gold. By dangling a promise to pull strings and get me back to the city through director house connections. But before they could finalize their scheme, Yaguang came stumbling home crying, covered in blood.
Mom, Dad.
Lingshan's done something terrible. My job is gone. You have to punish her. My uncle's wife almost fainted. What happened? Why is there blood everywhere? What did your sister do? Yaguang sobbed out the story. Director Hao had tried to consummate the marriage. Lingshan refused and grabbed a knife. She nearly cut off his manhood. When Yaguang went to the house to ask about his promised job, the bedroom was a bloodbath. My uncle's wife screamed like she'd been stabbed herself. That murderous wretch. Husband and wife sharing a bed is the most natural thing in the world. What's she playing at, pretending to be some virtuous maiden? She's going to destroy this entire family. My uncle's face was iron gray. Where are they now? Hao's been taken to the hospital. But Lingshan, instead of going to apologize, she ran to some basement at the Hao house, raving about reporting him and finding evidence. Here's what was really going on. In Lingshan's novel, director Hao is a deliberately designed character, a stupid, greedy, treasure delivery boy. The original plot had the female lead using her space to teleport everything out of Hao's secret underground vault without even opening the door. With evidence of his corruption in hand, she'd report him, divorce him, keep the hidden fortune, and send him to prison. Clean, efficient, perfect opening move. But Lingshan had no space anymore. When she stood in front of that iron door and tried to will the contents into her non-existent inventory, nothing happened. She couldn't even get the door open. She was panicking but still had one card left. In her novel, she'd written a character who was a war buddy of my father's, a righteous man with powerful connections who could take down director Hao. She'd deliberately made this character hate me while being willing to help her, just to twist the knife. If she could reach him with information about what was behind that door. But she never got the chance. The whole family descended on her like a storm. My uncle's voice thundered through the alley. My uncle's wife slapped her across the face. Yaguang screamed about his ruined job prospects. Yaozu called her insane for rejecting a life of luxury. Lingshan tried desperately. Listen to me. Behind this door there's gold. Piles of it. If we just break in. Shut up. My uncle cut her off. Even if there's gold in there, breaking in makes us thieves. That's prison. That's a bullet in the head. If we report Hao Zhengwo, everything inside becomes ours. Lingshan was frantic now. She knew what would happen if she was handed back to director Hao. When writing the novel, she'd made him extra evil for dramatic effect. The man had beaten 3 previous wives to death. Nobody listened. Yaozu and Yaguang tied her up with rope, stuffed a rag in her mouth, and dragged her to the hospital. In the hospital room, director Hao lay pale-faced on the bed, eyes cold and venomous. My uncle bowed and scraped before him. Director Hao, we're so sorry. So terribly sorry. We've brought the girl. She's yours to punish however you see fit. Beat her, scold her. We won't interfere. Just please don't hold this against our family. And Yaozu's job. Lingshan lay bound and gagged on the floor, eyes bulging with fury and despair. The biggest obstacle to her escape plan wasn't director Hao, it was her own greedy, stupid family, delivering her straight into the hands of a monster she'd created. Back in Bincheng, director Hao told my uncle's family to leave the girl and get out. They fled like Lingshan was a plague. The hospital door closed, and she was alone with a man she'd written to be a monster. One who'd beaten 3 wives to death. She was desperate, trying to figure out what went wrong. Her novel, her characters, her plot. She'd created all of it. But her space wouldn't activate, and the foolish villain she designed to be easily defeated was now an immovable wall. She clung to one last hope. She'd written a righteous character into her story, someone with connections. If she could endure Director Hao for now, she'd find that person and report him later. But first, she had to survive the monster. The thought of submitting to that disgusting man made her weep. She comforted herself thinking about Zhou Yanshen, how he was honorable, how he'd never look at another woman no matter how many tried to seduce him. She'd find her way to him eventually. Then a shadow fell over her. A belt cracked. Screaming filled the hospital room. 6 o'clock in the morning. A bugle call shattered the dawn. During the drought, morning drills were cancelled, and all men went straight to digging channels. I groggily opened my eyes to find Zhou Yanshen already getting dressed. It's early. Sleep a bit more. I'll go report for duty and make breakfast when I get back. I mumbled an okay and rolled over. The 8 o'clock breakfast bugle woke me again. I jumped up, then froze at what I saw through the doorway. Zhou Yanshen was standing shirtless at our new stove in the morning sunlight. His broad shoulders, tight back muscles, sweat tracing the lines of his body. I almost drooled. He heard me and casually pulled on a tank top. "You're up? Come eat." He turned away, but I caught the slight smile. He knew I'd been staring, and he was pleased about it. If only his equipment worked. He was frustrated about that too, I could tell. On the stove he'd boiled eggs, peanuts, and sweet potatoes. He'd somehow found flat rocks to use as an outdoor table, and 3 cups of steaming malted milk powder sat waiting. My heart seized. My precious malted milk powder. He'd opened it before I could multiply it. Only 2 cans total. I casually put the 2 cans back in the crate and, while nobody was looking, hit them with today's gold infusion. 20 cans of malted milk powder appeared in my space. Crisis averted. "Let's eat inside," I said, noticing the row of educated youth squatting across the way with their corn porridge, staring hungrily at our spread. Zhou Yanshen had grown up comfortable and never learned to hide his food. To him, boiled eggs and malted milk were nothing special. The gossip started immediately. "The new family eats better than all of us combined. Boiled eggs and malted milk for breakfast. I can smell it from here. Where they get so much stuff if their property was confiscated." Zhang Yin chewed her corn bun bitterly. On the train they ate braised pork and white rice. Who knows how much they're hiding? Tian Dahua shut her down. "What they have is none of your business." Zhou Yanshen heard the murmuring, frowned, and casually picked up the massive stone table with his bare hands and carried it inside. Every single person went silent. He just lifted something that would take 2 normal men to move, like it was a cardboard box. His arm muscles bulged with the effort, reminding everyone that this crippled man was still a soldier. I stared too. How strong was he? Then my mind wandered to other implications of that strength, and I got a little worried about my structural integrity. We ate breakfast around the stone table inside. Eggs, salted peanuts, sweet potatoes, and malted milk. Decent by any standard, luxurious by countryside standards. After eating, his mother tried to crawl back onto the Kong. One look from Zhou Yanshen, and she went grumbling off to the warehouse for her logistics job. Zhou Yanshen grabbed his tools and headed out. "I've got a heavy workload today, but I'll come back early to help you. If anything happens, come find me at the channel." He'd volunteered for the hardest job, excavating the main drainage channel. 12 work points a day, the maximum. It meant clearing stubborn tree roots and hauling heavy boulders, but it also meant he could bring back wood for furniture and stones for a house. I smiled. He always treated me like a child needing constant reminders. "Go on, don't worry. I'll have lunch ready when you get back." Something shifted in his expression. He pressed his lips together, and I could see a new determination forming. He wasn't going to waste time in this reform camp. He was going to earn achievements, rise through the ranks, and get us out of here. He didn't want me suffering any longer than necessary. We parted ways at the village entrance. I headed to the health prevention station with my medicine chest on my back. It was exactly as bad as Lu Shuqing had described. 2 squat mud brick rooms containing almost nothing, a chipped medicine cabinet with a few bottles of mercurochrome and gentian violet, some gauze, a broken desk, and an examination bed. That was it.